Gentlemen, you're not supposed to be here.
This is a closed course.
What's up, guys? Episode 6 of Closed Course. We've got Dustin Jacoby with us today. That's how you say your name, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hanyak.
The what?
The Hanyak.
The Hanyak?
The Hanyak.
The Hanyak. Okay. I like that name. We're going to have to see what where that came about from. But Dustin is, 15-year UFC veteran?
MMA veteran,
MMA veteran for 15 years. Local Colorado guy, huge golf fan. So we're happy to have him on the podcast today. We kicked out Stewie. That's probably a plus for everybody watching.
Yeah.
So we'll get right into it here with Dustin.
Don't have to deal with Stewie, but yeah, currently Dustin's UFC number 15th ranked light heavyweight in the world. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive, obviously. I think Evan has a little highlight reel ready to go once we get the TV going here. But yeah, thanks for coming on the pod, man.
Yeah, thanks for having
for
me,
being
man.
here.
This is super cool. The setup's dope. I've done quite a few podcasts, and this is one of the coolest setups there is. So
There we go. We'll
the only
take that.
thing that'd make it better is if we had a blackjack dealer on hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, this is super cool.
We'll have you back, and we'll have a true blackjack night. We can get gambling.
I'm in, man. That might turn into a morning.
Yeah, honestly. We'll show some of the clips after the podcast, but Dustin's been here for like an hour and a half now. We've been drinking, had some dinner. He was actually the first person to do the Pins and Aces horse race. So you guys will see that clip afterwards. It's kind of a fun thing. We're doing a race in Berio Kart. Then you got to go make 2 10-foot putts. One of them's a steep right to left breaker.
Or left to right, depending on where you take
Depending
it.
where
Or
you
how
putt.
many beers you've had.
Yeah, how many beers you've had, and then a beer eagle. So yeah, that was fun. We'll get our times in too, but Dustin was the first guy to record a time. So
Yeah, I'm positive I will have a better time if I were to do it again. Maybe we'll do it after the podcast.
yeah, we'll have you back on too for sure. Once Evan gets the computer hooked up. But I guess just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, man. So Dustin Jacoby, I've been fighting professionally for 14 years now. I've been in the UFC for four of those years. Started my career off, I was 6-0. I turned pro in November of 2010, and by October of 2011, I had my first UFC fight. So not even a year later, I got into the UFC really quick. I was the youngest kid in the UFC at 22 years old. I remember being in the fighter meeting and just unsure if I belonged. Like, I remember seeing Dana White and BJ Penn and the Diaz brothers and Chet Congo and just some legends of the sport. And I was like, man, sitting in the same room. And it was pretty overwhelming stuff. And my first stint in the UFC was kind of short. I had 2 quick losses and I was booted. Got back to the regional scene, and I had been fighting regionally. I fought for Glory Kickboxing, where I rose to number 2 in the world. I was the number 1 American kickboxer. Fought for the world title a couple times, broke my arm a couple times. Got done with Glory Kickboxing, and I was at a pivotal point in my career where 2018 was the first year I did not fight. I was working for a buddy. He owned FedEx routes, and that's how I was kind of, making ends meet, and wasn't sure if I was going to continue on. And I remember like telling my wife, was like, man, you got to basically shit or get off the pot. We got to figure something out. Are you going to continue this career, or is it time to get a real job? And that's when I just started. I just went all in, man. I went for complete broke. It was a crazy time. It was around the COVID, the 2020 era. Everything pretty much shut down. The only thing that was going was the UFC. The UFC garnered a bunch of new fans. If you guys can remember that, and that's kind of reignited my career. Had a Contender Series fight. I won and got into the UFC, and I reeled off 8 wins in a row in the UFC, climbed to the top 15 in the world. And
wow.
Yeah, man, it was a hell of a climb, but it was a lot of years. Everybody who recently knew me or recently was introduced to me thought it was kind of like an overnight success, but man, it was a decade. It was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, literally broken bones. That catapulted me to that position in my career. So, like you said, here I stand, number 15 in the world, and yeah, man, pretty proud of what I've accomplished.
That's amazing. So you were in the UFC, like when you said the Diaz brothers and BJ Penn, that was like 2011. And then you had a couple losses. You went back to maybe called the minor leagues,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, yep.
And then back in 2020, started COVID, you got back in to the UFC.
Yep.
Okay, and then that's kind of where you've been hanging out so far. That's amazing.
And this highlight reel that Evan has, I think this is like from, you can see the videos from 10 years ago. These are some of your kickboxing highlights.
Oh, dude, so this is the road to glory. This is super cool. I told you the Hanyak.
Yeah.
I got to hear what that name means.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that goatee. Maybe we bring that back.
I like that.
2011.
Yeah, it is, man. Does this have sound too, or can they hear this? Or
Yeah, I think Evan can get sound on it.
it sounds pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that's why I like this video because
Come on, Jamie.
This is crazy. This was just a young Hanyak, man. So the Hanyak.
Yeah, what is that mean? Yeah.
So my grandma, I have a twin brother, and we're German, and she'd always call us little Hanyaks when we were kids, and it's like a crazy guy. You know, you're being wild, you're being rambunctious, you're being, just crazy. So this night I was getting my hands taped, and again, I hadn't ever kickboxed before. I was training for an MMA fight.
Before this fight?
I wasn't even in shape here. I was training for an MMA fight. I got a call on a Wednesday night to fight in a 8-man kickboxing tournament, and the winner got $20K. And I was like, hell yeah, dude, sign me up. I was like, sign me up, and
that's some Hanyak shit right there.
well, so I was getting my hands taped, and the guy said, hey, do you have a nickname? I said, no, I don't. And he was walking out of the room and had my headphones in. I'm like, you know what? I took him out. I was like, hey, hold on, man. I was like, tonight I do. Call me the Hanyak. And I came out as the Hanyak. I had 3 fights. I had 3 KOs. And that was so memorable, man. That was super cool. And that was the night the Hanyak emerged, man. It's really fitting. Everybody loves the nickname, and Bruce Buffer loves it too. He always tells me you're one of my favorite guys to announce because of the Hanyak.
I've seen those videos. I think there's another highlight here too. It was one of your most recent, or more recent, I guess, UFC fights. It was against, Evan, if you can pull it up, I think it was like Jung, I'm going to butcher his name.
Jung.
Yeah, exactly. Here
you go. Yeah, this was a big fight for me as well because I had just climbed into the top 15. I had just got a number next to my name.
Oh.
And Daeun Jung was he hadn't been beaten in like 15 straight fights and several years, and I was like, man, here I am. I just get into the top 15. Now I fight this killer, and there was just a lot of pressure to you don't want to get into the top 15 and then back out right away.
Right.
And so there was just a lot of pressure, and ended up being a great night too. It was my first performance bonus as well, knockout of the night. So that was pretty cool.
Fuck, that's crazy.
Okay, so performance bonus. So if you knock somebody out, you get paid. How do you get paid in the UFC? How does that work?
Yeah, so you get paid to fight and you get paid to win.
Okay.
Which is it is what it is. I've been used to it, but it's kind of like them dangling a carrot in front of you, right? And it's kind of like the fighters hate it. Like, I wish we got paid in like a just one big lump sum where you feel a little more appreciated, but it does give you an incentive to work hard.
Right.
I mean, who doesn't want to go in and win the fight, right? So you get paid to fight, you get paid to win, and then in the UFC they have performance bonuses that used to be knockout of the night, submission of the night, and fight of the night. Now it's fight of the night. So 2 guys, typically, as long as there's a good fight, will always get fight of the night. And then they changed it from knockout and submission of the night to performance of the night, meaning there could be multiple knockouts, there could be multiple submissions, and many guys get performance of the night, which is a $50K bonus. So
wow,
yeah, man, it's a little cherry on top, and it's always nice to win and then to get paid for your money. Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
That's crazy. Well, I guess going back a little bit, you were a college football player, right, originally? So talk about that and how you then got into the MMA.
Yeah, man. So
I would be a Hanyak.
Yeah.
In order to do that.
Yeah, you got to be crazy to do that.
A little bit of a crazy guy. I'm telling you, man, my twin brother and I, we were, my twin brother was much more of a fighter than I was. And he's the type of guy that at the drop of the dime, you say the wrong thing, like he's fighting. I mean, and he's a great dude. If he was sitting here, you guys would love him.
Yeah.
Do you still fight him?
No, we've still thrown down. We still train a little bit, but now he's pretty much hung up the gloves, and of course, much more mature these days. We're in our mid-30s, so he's not just going out the bars and fighting. But he was the town tough guy. He was the guy that's like, there's a fight going down, you're going through him, and I was in college, and I was telling you guys earlier, he hit me up one day. It was like a Tuesday. and said that he was getting in a fight on a Saturday, and I was blown away. I'm like, wait, what? I thought a fight happened like naturally. I didn't know like you play like, hey, bro, meet me at the ballpark. Just kind of thing in high school too. We had like ballpark fights, but. He's like, no, man, it's called MMA. You put gloves on, you weigh in the day before, you get locked in a cage, and you fight, and you wrestle, and there's submissions, and I was mind blown, man. And I started Googling MMA and looking it up, and of course, all of our buddies were like, when are you going to start fighting? And I was like, I said never. I was like, never would I do that.
Yeah.
And I was in college my sophomore year. A guy at 205, an amateur venue, right in the same town I was going to college. The guy fell out. My brother called me up. He's like, hey, man, a guy at your weight class dropped out. I was like, fucking throw me in there. I'll knock out anybody. And I was joking.
Yeah.
And I still thought it was a joke for several weeks. And he's like, I got you on the card. I'm like, no way. And I was kind of like joking, talking shit. Well, then it got serious. I'm like, holy shit, I'm really going to fight this dude. And I didn't really train. I mean, my brother and I punched a punching bag. We punched each other a couple times. We rolled around. And that's how I got into it, man. I had that first MMA fight. I knocked the guy out in like 45 seconds, knocked him out cold, this is a really cool story, podcast worthy. So I knock him out, crowd's going nuts. And next thing you know, he's knocked out for like 3 minutes. So then the entire venue's dead quiet, nobody's talking, and his wife is cage side crying, like right next to him. And everybody's gonna kind of get real, right? They use smelling salt to get him up. And he wakes up and he's fine. Doesn't even have a mark on his face, not a black eye, not a bloody nose, nothing. Well, we're in college, and a couple days later, it was like Sunday, so I fought on Saturday. I think it might have been the next weekend. I can't remember the exact day, but we ordered a pizza, us and all of our crew at the house.
Oh, God.
And the guy that delivered the pizza was the guy I fought.
No.
But to give him credit, he wasn't just a pizza delivery guy. He owned the pizza company.
Oh, shit.
So he's like, hey, man, I saw your name come through. And he was an older guy. I was
cool.
18, 19 at the time, 20 maybe. He was like 32, 33.
Yeah.
Owned the company. He's like, I saw you ordered the pizza. He's like, I wanted to deliver to you. So I thought that was pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Good for that guy.
Yeah, that guy's super cool. And, of course, through Facebook, he's followed my journey. And, he's like, hey, I fought that guy. And
Yeah.
So that's the guy you fought. He owns the pizza place, and he was cool with you.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Hey, cool. Good luck. So how does that work when you fight people? I mean, I'm like shaking just thinking about doing this. This is why we play golf. Me, maybe the other two guys are a little tougher than me, but certainly not something I could do. But when you're in the ring with those guys, you train with some of these guys. Are you friends with them? Like, WWE, where it's not staged, obviously I'm not saying that, but those guys are like friendly behind the scenes.
WWE's not
Right.
staged.
Are you like cool with the guys you're fighting, or like, I want to fucking kill this guy, Or,
It's different from everybody in every situation. I've only had one fight where I really took it personal.
Yeah.
And it was because of the fans, my fans, his fans. You got two alphas going at it. You got your boys back. You got your boys back. And that one I really took to heart. That's the only one time I really made it personal, and I won that fight as well, my first pro title. But I tell you what, man, MMA is a humbling sport. Everybody talks about how good they are, where they could have been, where they should have been, but you're in the mat every day. You're training every day. So if you're that guy that's talking, man, everybody's coming at you, and you may be the toughest guy round 1 or 2. Round 3, 4, 5, and 6, you get tired. I don't care who you are. When you're tired, you can't fight, man.
Yeah.
There's always puncher's luck too.
Yeah,
When
well, yeah,
you take
sure.
a break and
There's
Lights
puncher's
out,
luck, and it's just a very humbling sport. And so a lot of the guys are super down-to-earth, cool guys, man. There's not a lot of beef behind closed doors. Sometimes there is. You watch anybody that fights Colby Covington. I'm a fan, but man, if I was fighting him, dude, he says some shit that gets under your skin and makes it a little personal, right?
For sure.
And so every situation's different, but for the most part, man, fighters are very humble, down-to-earth guys. You think that they would be like Billy Badasses, but no, man, they're the quiet guy in the corner that they just know what they're capable of.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And now you have so many guys, I think we were kind of talking about earlier, that are training. You don't know who trains and who doesn't. I mean, there's a lot of guys.
Look out for the cauliflower ear.
Look out for the cauliflower. There's
yeah,
guys,
don't fuck with those guys.
there's guys that don't even fight professionally, but train like a professional fighter because that's their hobby and that's what they love and enjoy. And I guarantee you, just to fight any average Joe in the bar, they got a lot of skill on them because they train it.
I was at a concert and there was like a 5'5" dude who came up to me. He's like, "Bro, let's box." I'm like,
Everyone
No
tries to
freaking way.
Everyone
Out of
always tries
nowhere?
to fight.
Yeah,
John.
I'm
pick
like,
on
He's got
John.
the cowboy hat, right?
Yeah.
6'2", 240, he's like 5'5", 160. Like,
Everyone tries
I
to
was
pick on
always
John.
told the guy with the cowboy hat you stay away of.
Yeah.
You know there's no bitch in the guy with the cowboy hat. I mean, that guy's getting down.
Yeah,
this
for
guy's
sure.
throwing down.
when you're 34 and you have a good hairline and you've got long curly hair, I think you're just like a target. You're like, fuck, I'm jealous of that guy. You know, I don't have that hairline anymore.
Everyone tries to fight John.
Everyone, he's like the nicest, biggest teddy bear, and yeah, everyone wants to fight
you
him.
want me in your corner though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
guarantee
sure.
that.
Oh, for
yeah.
sure. So I guess after your first stint in the UFC, you left, and that's when you got into kickboxing, right? So how
Yeah.
did you decide to kind of take that route?
Well, I didn't. It kind of chose me, man. I was training for another MMA fight. I was fighting a guy who's spent a long time in the UFC, Andrew Sanchez, and this was before he had gotten the UFC. He was undefeated. I was training to fight him MMA, and I got a call of that Road to Glory. They're like, "Hey, man, the guy this was a Wednesday night. I just got done sparring. I was training for a fight that was a month away. It was Wednesday night in January." And I got a call from my buddy, which another cool story. Brian Foster, one of the most badass fighters, original Donald Cerrone. Like, he was Donald Cerrone before Donald Cerrone. He was in the UFC, had 5 UFC fights, 3 UFC bonuses back when they were 65K. And just a total badass, man. The first guy I really looked up to fighting. And he had he got done really dirty, man. He got a sparring session one time, got hit. Had an MRI to get prepared for the fight. You know, you have to do medicals, and it showed a spot on his brain from that sparring session. Never had another UFC fight.
Wow.
UFC pretty much cut him. Pretty much got blacklisted from the sport. I feel terrible for that guy. He's my boy. He still fights on. He's got 3 boys. He's a killer. But after his UFC career, I got a short notice call from another coach. It was like, "Hey, man, you want to come do this? It's like an Ultimate Fighter in Mexico. 4 fights, 4 weeks, winner gets $100K. But it's at 170 pounds. I fought at 185 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, there's no way I can make 170. So I called up my boy Foster, and it was like a same thing, like a 48-hour notice. He was on a plane, went to Mexico, won 4 fights, won $100K, came back home. I was like, boom, the perfect guy for it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, then he calls me up. This is after, like I don't know, not even a year after, a few months after. He's like, "Hey, bro, down here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a guy just pulled out this kickboxing tournament. Winner gets $20K. You want it?" I'm like, "Well, hell yeah, bro." I was like, "When is it?" He's like, "It's Friday," and it was Wednesday night. I'm like, "Wait, what?"
Shit.
And again, I fought at 185, so I was only walking around like 205, 207, 210 max. And I was like, yeah, hopped in my car the next morning, drove down to Tulsa, drove 8 hours, weighed with a couple of my buddies, a couple corners. I weighed in. We drew cards to see who fought who. And there was a kid in there, Randy Blake, I believe was his name, Randy Boom Boom Blake, and he was 27-1. And he was the number 1 guy. His one loss was to Mirko Krokop like 3 months prior. So if you guys know the sport, that's a big name.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was an ace of spades. I drew him first. I drew the number 1 guy. And I was like, well, fuck it, man. I mean, we're here to fight
Gotta get
everybody.
through 'em.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
I planned on fighting him either in championship or the first fight, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Ended up knocking him out, and I knocked out the next 2 guys to win the whole thing, and that was pretty freaking
That's
sweet,
fight
man.
number 1. You're untouchable. From
Yeah.
confidence through the.
Here's another thing. People think this is crazy. This is so. Take this perspective. So you fight in a tournament, right? 3 fights in one night. When you win a fight, it's the most like on top of the world feeling in the world, and vice versa. When you lose, man, it really sucks. Like, you're down in the pits, and you have to live with that loss until you fight again. I lost my last fight in December. I don't know when I'm going to fight again, this summer maybe, but I'm a loser for however many months that is. You know, that's the hard part about it. But when you win a fight, you're on top of the world. Well, now, not only do you win a fight, you get to go back out 45 minutes later. So the amount of confidence and swag and just how good you feel carries into the next fight. And this is another cool thing about that tournament. It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He was the hometown kid, Randy Blake, the number 1 guy. When I beat him, I nobody was cheering for me that first fight. When I beat him, the entire place was cheering for me. The second fight, by the third fight, you thought I was in my hometown.
Yeah.
You thought I was in my backyard. Everybody loved me, and that's a cool thing about that people don't think about when you fight in a tournament or multiple times in a night. they're like, man, that's so hard to do. And don't get me wrong, it's hard to do. It's hard to beat 3 guys in one night.
Yeah.
But when you win, man, it feels good. Like you're just riding that wave, and you got so much confidence, and it's just a unique perspective to the whole tournament fighting.
So your brother called you when you guys were in college still for this first fight. Like, hey, bro, there's a fight, this weekend or whatever. You knocked out the pizza guy.
Yeah.
And so you were 18, 19?
I think I was 20. I was 20.
You were 20.
Yeah, it was July of 2008.
And do you get paid for that? Was it like a paid thing? It was just fun.
No.
You're just gonna
Amateurs, you don't get paid. And now some amateurs do get paid, and you get paid through ticket sales. But yeah, there was no money.
It was just, we're going to go brawl.
It was nothing online. Yeah.
Testosterone pushing out guys. So you do that then. Okay, so you won the fight. Was it the tournament, though, or was it just that one fight?
No, just single night. Yeah, that first fight was just a single fight.
So then where do you go from there? Like, okay, I won a fight, knock this guy out. I'm going to kind of pursue this, or when was your next fight after that? And when did you start taking it serious? We're like, hey, I can make a living out of this.
Yeah, great question. So I was still playing college football. So that one fight, I was like,
How was that allowed? How are your coaches not like, don't
here's
go
the
fight
thing.
people?
It was also supposed to be low key.
Yeah.
Nobody find out, right?
Yeah.
I have this fight. It like blows up on the news.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same town. My coach sees it. So
Yeah.
when I get back to school, I mean, it's like, my coach hated it. He's like, I got my quarterback fucking fighting people. and
Quarterback behavior I like.
yeah. Who doesn't want a quarterback that's throwing down like that, right? And I remember one of our running backs, Ben Merriman, he stood up. He's like, Coach, our quarterback's a badass. What's wrong with that? He's like, that's awesome. And it was, it was one of those things that was supposed to be low key. So I go back, I play another year of football. The summer comes around again, I have a couple more fights, a couple more amateur fights. It's like remember when I told you I'd never do this?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a tattoo, man. It gets addicting.
Yeah.
You get one, then you get another.
Yeah.
And so then I had a couple more fights, and I went back and played my senior year of football, and I redshirted my freshman year, so I actually could have came back my redshirt senior year. But at that point, I was like, man, I want to go chase this.
Right.
I want to go train full time. It was kind of new. It was evolving.
Yeah.
It was becoming the next big thing. I had a bunch of good people around me that sent me off to Matt Hughes' gym. It was like an hour south of us in St. Louis. Matt Hughes, 9-time UFC champion.
Yep.
Should have been 11-time, 2 times the opponents didn't make weight, but one of the original badasses, and Country Boy Can't Survive. Just a badass dude, man. And started training at his gym full time, and had my last amateur fight training under them, and then I turned pro, and everything just kind of took off super quick.
Wow. And this was kind of like 11, 12-ish?
2011 is when I made my pro debut. You talking about money? I fought for $200 to fight and $200 to win.
Wow.
My pro debut.
Wow. Did you win?
I won. Yeah.
I won $400.
Yeah, I won $400, and then I probably spent it all. It was at a casino, at the casino.
Lost it
I don't
all.
quite remember, but I guarantee I lost it all at the casino.
So how'd you go? Like, how long was it from your first pro fight to when you made your UFC debut?
Yeah, not even. It was about 10 months, not even 1 year, which is a very fast ride.
That is fast.
Like, you don't see that often. And it's like now, like when I see young guys in the gym, I train at Factory X right here in Inglewood, Colorado. We've got, I don't know, 10, 12, 13, 15 guys in the UFC. We're one of the best gyms here in the state. And we have a ton of new kids, a ton of young kids and you just know, like these amateurs, I'll meet guys, I'm like, okay, this guy's doing it for fun. Maybe he's trying to chase him. Maybe he might surprise me. And then there's guys, it's like Markel Medeiros, one of my teammates, just had his UFC debut a couple weeks ago. He was an open class student, came in as just a regular kid, wanted to just join classes. Wow. And at Factory X, you got to do all the amateur classes. You got to earn your right on the pro team. Mm-hmm. And he is the first guy that came up through the system. He's one of those guys that when you meet early on, you're like, this guy might do it. And he just did it a couple weeks ago.
Wow,
man.
good
Changed
for him.
his life. And shout out Markel if you're watching, man. I'm super proud of that kid, young kid, and he's got a bright future. 26 years old. The kid's going to be doing this for a minute. Yeah, man, he's got a bright future, and I love seeing that.
That's cool.
So you just kind of you know, like you know when a guy has it when he doesn't.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. Yeah,
That
for
is
sure.
crazy. So you fought multiple times in the same night. I never really knew that was a thing. I always thought, kind of UFC, you fight maybe 3 times a year, I guess.
Yeah.
But is that a common thing for like lower level MMA to fight multiple times in one night?
Not really, man. It's pretty unique, and I did the majority of that with Glory Kickboxing. It was kind of
Yeah.
a kickboxing thing. It was
Yeah.
kind of like a prize fighting thing. They would do the tournaments. The UFC's never done a tournament. The PFL, the Professional Fighters
Yeah.
League, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's
Yeah.
a new league kind of
Yeah.
coming up. They do a whole season where you accumulate points. If you win a fight, you get 3 points. If you win in the first round, you get an additional 3 points. So the max you can get 6. If you win in the second round, you get 2 points. So 3 plus 2 is 5.
Yeah.
Third round and so on, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And they do that for a season, and the top point getters at the end of the year enter a tournament for the $1 million. They do $1 million payout,
shit.
and it's 2 fights in one night. In fact, I think they changed that last year to where it's no longer 2 fights in one night. But for the first couple years, that was the only MMA promotion that really had that. So it's not common.
Yeah.
It's definitely more common with kickboxing, not real common with MMA.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
And then
2 fights in one night. I mean, you done 4 though.
3.
3.
Yeah,
3
3
fights.
max. 8-man tournaments. I've never fought in a 16-man tournament,
And didn't you do one as well where it was like different styles of fighting every round as well? Didn't
yeah,
you do
so that one was pretty unique. It was called the King of Sparta, a local promotion right here in Denver. Sparta Entertainment. They started this thing, King of Sparta, and the first round is a boxing match. The second round is a kickboxing match. The third round is an MMA fight.
Can you imagine doing that one last?
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah, the
Yeah.
toughest one last, and
Yeah.
which requires the most physical. I mean, the up, down, the wrestling. That's another thing, man. I can, as a striker, I'm a striker. I can box all day. I can kickbox all day. You start adding in the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu and the takedown, the get up, man. That gets pretty tiring.
Yeah.
God, I can't even imagine.
No.
And then and the contrary to that, there's wrestlers that their forte is wrestling, so they can wrestle all day.
Yeah.
And then you start getting them to boxing, they kind of slow down.
Right.
So yeah, it goes both ways. Kind of what you're conditioned to do.
That's crazy. Well, I knew who you were, just from the UFC, and like you said, you had an 8 or 9 win streak, so I was pretty aware of who you were. And then I started looking back at your record and saw that you fought Alex Pereira like 9 years ago. Did you know who he was before that? Because I thought that was his first kickboxing fight in glory. Is that true? Do you know that?
That was his first kickboxing fight in glory. But I did not know who he was before that. But he was very he was a practitioner, MMA boxing practitioner. I mean, he did it. He's the real deal, man. I fought him in Zagreb, Croatia. That was one of the tournaments. I fought in a tournament 6 different times. 4 times I've won the whole thing. So that was one of the 2 that I didn't win.
Okay.
And I was at the wrong end of a left hook at that fight, but nothing to be ashamed of, man. Alex Pereira went on to be a two division champion, Glory Kickboxing, and as well as the UFC, man. So kudos to him. And it's crazy. Again, the fight world, it's a small world. He's reached out to me here recently a couple different times that want to train together.
Really?
And it just didn't really work out with my fight schedule and my fight camps. And I still want to. I'm a big fan of Alex Pereira. I'm a fan of seeing a guy like that come from nothing.
Yeah.
In poor poverty in Brazil to now the guy's living his dream, man.
Yeah.
He's got millions of dollars, and that's a guy that deserves it, man. I'm very happy and proud of a guy like that, and super cool to compete against a guy like that. That upped my level, and hopefully we can cross paths. But then again, the fighter inside of me as well, we're like the same size, we're the same weight class, man. So I still have a dream of meeting up with him. I even told my guy in the UFC, Mick Maynard, so you have Dana White, Mick Maynard, and Sean Shelby, and they book all the fights. Dana deals with like all the big guys. Sean Shelby deals with a lot of the small guys. Mick Maynard deals with guys my size. And Mick Maynard, big fan of me, loves me. I love Mick Maynard. And I told him, I sent him a message. I'm like, you watch, man. I'm going to get a couple more big knockouts. And me and Pereira are going to end up fighting each other for that UFC title. And he just loved it, And that's why I haven't really, pursued reaching out with Pereira and training with him because I still, I'm still chasing that as well. And hopefully we get a rematch one day and it's for the gold,
Yeah, because he's champ at your weight class, obviously, for people who don't know. So, that'd be crazy 10, 11 years later, you guys fight again for the title.
Absolutely, man. That was my whole basis. There's a story there. And, hardcore fight fans know that story. Not a lot of people know that story, but to be where I was and then 10 years later to be able to pull that off would be pretty. That's a cool story, man. People love storylines.
Yeah, and it's also crazy because he kind of took a break from fighting. you kind of went down to the lower levels, and then to meet at like the ultimate peak of fighting, that would be a pretty crazy story.
I feel like it's inevitable and it's kind of out there in the universe. He made his UFC debut, UFC 268, Madison Square Garden. I was a short notice fight on that card, so I fought on that card as well. We both won that night.
Yeah.
Which is super cool too, man. Saying I got a win at Madison Square Garden,
That's
the
really sick.
prestigious venues there is. So
Yeah.
man. There's I feel like the universe is working, and we just gotta let it play out.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people who fight Alex Pereira, they say that his power is unmatched. Did you kind of feel like that? Is he like the most powerful guy you've ever fought, or is there someone else who comes to mind?
Well, I'll tell you, at our gym we give out awards, and every year, for like 4 years in a row, I've won Chin of the Year.
Oh shit.
And it's something I'm not real proud of. It's like I don't want to be super proud of it, but at the same time, if you're gonna play this game, if you're gonna be a professional fighter, it's good to have a chin on you.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, he's the only time I've ever been knocked out. So
Okay.
I would say his power is just different, man. The end of his left hook, he just hits different. He's got that long, rangy power, and I mean, he knocks out everybody he fights. So
I know. That's what I was telling these two about. I was like, if you don't know who Alex Pereira is, just savage.
he's a bad man, man.
Yeah.
He's a bad dude.
When you so you had a boxing match, right, in 2019, 2020?
Yeah, that was part of that.
So how did you get from like kickboxing back to a boxing match?
Well, because it was the King of Sparta.
Oh, okay. So that was your boxing.
That was my boxing match.
Oh,
And dude,
okay,
I'm telling you, like, boxing's my thing. I think that I would be a great boxer. I want the Paul brothers. I want to fight both the Paul. Again, we want to talk tournament.
Same night.
I'll fight Logan and Jake in the same night.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. Like, when people thought I was crazy when I first said that. Like,
Logan
bro,
and Jake Paul.
you don't. Yeah, please, man, please. Like, and again, why it can't happen with Strickland? I'm under contract with the UFC, so that can't happen unless it got so big that the UFC allowed it, like McGregor and Mayweather.
Yeah.
But that's another fight. And Jake Paul and I, we fight the same weekend every single time.
Really?
Every single time. I feel like that's another
Destiny.
thing. Dude, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I would love that opportunity. And you know what? If Jake Paul somehow sees this, I'm not bashing the guy. He's legit.
Yeah.
You know, when he first came on, everybody, I was one of those guys like, oh, this guy, I would fuck him up. I still think I'd fuck him up. But as he's progressed, I also recognize real. Like, he's legit, man. He's not just some YouTube boxer. He puts a lot of effort into this. He puts a lot of work, sacrifice, commitment. And the guy's legit. Like, he's decent.
Yeah.
So not taking anything away from him. I mean, he's killing it. But kudos to him, man. He's doing his thing. So
Yeah. That's wild. That's a fight I would like to see.
Yeah, me
baby,
too.
Please, and the payday that comes with it. I mean, that's just, you can't,
Yeah, for sure. So when you got back into the UFC, that was kind of through the Dana White Contender Series, right?
Yeah.
So how did you get that phone call, and what was that like to kind of go from kickboxing to now you're getting your chance back at UFC? Because I thought someone like you would probably jump right onto one of the cards, but you had to go through the contender. I got you.
Thank you.
You got to go through the Contender Series.
Somebody that gets it. I was so pissed. I was so pissed, bro. So the big thing was management. I signed with a new man. I never really had a real manager, but I had guys that helped me and guys that looked out for me, guys that took care of me. And the whole management thing, I signed with Jason House, Iridium Sports Agency, best thing I've done for my career. But the big stall was he wanted 20% of my pay. And I'm like, bro, no manager deserves 20% ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no way. And after trying to fight, but they do have a clause where once you start making, more than X amount of dollars in the UFC, it goes down to 10%.
Oh.
And it happens pretty quick. If you're winning fights and doing your thing, it happens pretty quick. So finally, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like 20% of something is better than 0% of nothing.
Yeah.
So I signed the contract. I did the 20%, and I was pissed off. I had to do the Contender Series. Like, I'm not a I'm 32. At the time, I was 32 years old.
Yeah.
I'd already been through it all. I don't need this Contender Series fight. These guys are kids. You're trying to bring kids in here to grow up. Like, I'll murder these guys. Yeah. And that was my attitude. So I was not happy. I was pissed, but I fought with that attitude. Ended up getting the contract, getting back to the UFC. The rest is history, And of course, the 20% got cut down big time, so that was nice too. But
yeah,
dude, I'm glad you recognize that because for the longest time, I'm like, this is bullshit. A
Yeah,
guy, a 32-year-old guy that's been through everything that I've been through, that's number 2 in the world kickboxing and fought for world title, has to fight Contender Series?
Yeah, exactly. Because I like watching, that show and, Tough, and it's all younger guys, don't have much of a career.
Yeah.
But I'm sure for someone like you, it was tough to have to go and.
It was, man.
you know.
It really was. I felt just kind of disrespected.
Yeah.
And in fact, we were talking Dalton Reisner. My boy Dalton Reisner had one of his best years this year, and we were talking about that this morning at Landau. We were doing strength and conditioning. He was like, "Man, I had one of my best seasons ever." But because I felt disrespected, the Broncos didn't re-sign me. Nobody wanted to sign me. He's like, and then I played my heart out. We were going back to the Volkanovski and Tapourier fight this weekend.
Yeah.
He's like, man, some just told me about Tapourier because you got Volk who, you're laying in a good bed. You're paid good. Like, you've got millions in the bank. Who's going to want that more? Which dog in the fight is going to want that a little bit more? Somebody that wants everything you have. And that's the crazy thing about fighting, too, man, is you start getting a little bigger paydays and you start making more money. You get a little bit lax,
Sure.
and the fighting is dog eat dog world, man. And when you got a dog up and coming that wants everything you have, I want to take everything that you've got and that you've worked for. It makes it an interesting matchup, man.
Sounds like business.
Yeah, it does sound like business. I always talk about here, and we can get into like how you came into Pins and Aces and how you play golf and how you got into that. But we always talk about in business. I want to slit my competitors' throats. It is, who's going to outwork, and when you're not working, the competitors are, and you got to have that mentality that you got to outwork them at every step of the way, and that's how you're going to build a brand and a business. If you just kind of think it's going to come to you, it's not. There's 20% luck, but 80% is hard work, and you've got to want it more than the other guy. Who wants it harder? So,
and that as a successful business guy and starting this Pins and Aces company, dude, and you've started multiple companies, right?
Yeah, several, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same type thing, man. It's the same tenacity. So why you say like you want to get into the ring, you still have that tenacity, you have that fire and that drive to just slit that motherfucker's throat.
That's what you got to do, man. You can't have sympathy, and that's interesting. I was going to ask you, for me, I think probably one of the faults is there's not a lot of sympathy, with your competition, but you can't have that. And so when you're fighting, are you ever like knocking a guy out and like, I feel bad for this guy, or like he's got a family and I kicked his ass? Because I don't have any of that. Maybe at the end after you're at the top and you won the fight and you're like, well, I kind of feel bad. But do you ever feel that way? Or is there any ever remorse? You're like,
think about that
no.
pizza guy.
Yeah, the pizza guy.
Man, absolutely, I do after the fact.
Yeah,
But when they shut that cage door, we both signed up for the same thing, violence, and it's either my family eats or his family eats.
Exactly.
And that's what it comes down to, man. I mean, like you said, we're both paid to get in there, but only one of us is getting paid to leave. And so I signed the dotted line, man. If I have to hurt you for that to happen, that's what we both signed up for. And afterwards, of course, man, I'm a human being. I have feelings.
Right,
I feel
right.
bad, when bad things happen. But at the end of the day, man, is my family going to eat or is your family going to eat?
Yeah, that's going to be my family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So your last fight was in December. You don't have a upcoming fight, right? Nothing booked yet?
No, man. Unfortunately, I fractured my ankle, which was kind of like a chronic issue. 14 years of fighting and kickboxing kind of adds up. And fractured my ankle, tore a couple ligaments. Thankfully, I didn't have to have surgery, so I'm at the tail end of that recovery. Back on the mats training. I'm still not full systems go. It's one of those things where A, you have to heal up, and then B, you have to get the confidence again. I told you guys I broke my arm. I broke my arm checking a kick, and prior to doing that, I would check any kick. So checking kicks, like you kick me as hard as you can, I just check it with my arms and I return or whatnot. Prior to breaking my arm, I never thought twice about checking a kick. I check your kick, we fight. I check your kick, we fight. I broke my arm. It took forever for me to want to check a kick. It was just mental. It was like I'd watch guys spar. I'm like, oh, it's like I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And I had to overcome that, and I eventually did. But same with this ankle, right? It's still not 100% as far as healed. And like even when I'm in practice, I move around. I watch these guys like wrestle and really get after it.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, I don't want to do that yet. So Just try. I gotta get that confidence back, which it will, and the confidence comes with the actual healing. I tell everybody I'm 1% better every day, and I just gotta heal up, and I plan to fight this summer sometime.
Okay, yeah, because I feel like injuries are two parts. It's like the actual injury itself, and then like you're saying, it's kind of the mental side of the injury, which can be even harder sometimes.
For sure, and then the injury is always different. Like, are you injured or are you hurt? Because I'll tell you, 90% of the time, those guys you watch every Saturday night in the UFC, they're not in there 100%.
Oh yeah,
they've got injuries that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
They've got ailments that they've been holding them back for weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
But they get in there to put it on the line anyway.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, man, when you can go into a fight 100% healthy, it's the best because that's a rare occurrence.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So there's little, are you hurt or are you injured? A couple different things.
Yeah. So hurt's kind of like, you can fight through it, but injured you physically can't. Is that what you mean?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Whether it be a torn tendon, a broken bone, whatever it is, where you just physically, and there's guys with broken bones that get in there, and I mean, some tough.
Well, we were talking about before the pod started, kind of your broken leg. You want to tell that story again for the people who are listening? 'Cause
Yeah,
you fought
man.
with the broken leg. I'd say that's an injury, but
So
you played that off as
absolutely.
hurt.
So I was telling these guys, adrenaline is a hell of a drug. It's incredible. I fought in the King of Sparta heavyweight tournament. I weighed in at 210 pounds with like my shorts on, some change in my pocket, like rolls of quarters. And the guys that were fighting were all over 250. And it was boxing, kickboxing, MMA. Well, boxing.
So there's no weight class in that? You're just going in there and you're fighting?
Heavyweight. Well, it's a
He
heavyweight.
was fighting at heavyweight.
But you could be a guy could be 30 pounds heavier than you.
Yeah, heavyweight is technically anywhere from 206 to 265.
Oh my gosh.
So I weighed in at 210. and these guys all weighed over 250. And anyway, boxing, kickboxing, take care of business there. Knock both guys out pretty quick. I get into the MMA fight. I fight this UFC veteran. He's a pretty good guy, and he was a wrestler too. I'm like, holy shit, this guy gets on top of me.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And he first round throws a pretty powerful kick that broke my. Is it my tibia? My fibia? My tibia. It's my tibia. Believe the tibia is the outside bone. Mm-hmm. And first kick, it was in the first round. Threw a heavy kick. I felt my leg crack. Felt it crack. I even switched to southpaw, changed my stance up. And I'm like, oh, no, you got to be kidding me. Well, never again did he throw that kick the rest of the fight. And if he would have, would have snapped my leg, no doubt.
Ugh.
And for 2 rounds, I fought on that broken leg. And I battered this guy. It was the bloodiest fight that, I mean, you might be able to pull that up. King of Sparta, man. Look at the mat when I'm done with this guy. There wasn't a dry spot on the mat. It was all his blood. Ugh. And immediately when that fight was over, man, my buddies had to carry me out of that ring because I just couldn't walk. But I fought 2 rounds on it. Adrenaline's a hell of a drug.
Did you knock him out?
I didn't knock him out. I won by a decision, but dude, I did everything but knock him out. Like he was battered. It was one of the bloodiest fights in Sparta history, so it was pretty crazy.
What year was that?
That was June of 2019. June 29th, 2019. Maybe June 28th.
Wow.
And you kind of talked about before the pod, you think maybe 3 to 5, 6 years left of fighting for you?
Yeah, man. I hate to put a time frame on it.
Is it?
Oh, this is cool. So this is the boxing match.
Was it this night though?
It was this night, yeah. So this was the first fight, a boxing match.
You look young.
Yeah,
it was 3 years, 4 years ago.
Yeah, I know, man. It's crazy.
Different hair and.
I want to see the one with the leg. Do you know who you were fighting?
When
you were on the broken leg?
Oh yeah, it was. His name was. Oh,
Search that.
Give me a minute.
Look at that guy you're fighting though. Yeah, he's like way bigger than you.
He's a big dude. His name was. Oh, buddy.
I don't know what I would do if I got in the ring and had to fight that guy. I'd just keel over like a golden retriever.
Well, I tell you what, man. So like. Fighting is kind of interesting too because at middleweight, I'm one of the biggest middleweights in the world.
Yeah.
If I was to fight at middleweight, but I'm not a better fighter. I feel like I deplete myself. I cut a bunch of weight. I fight guys that are smaller, but they're quicker. Mm-hmm. They're quicker to the punch, and their cardio's better. And I've depleted myself, so my gas take isn't as good for as long. At 205, I fight guys. Oh, there you go, Cody East. That was his name, and that's a. Yeah, if you want to click on it, go to the 3rd round. You don't want to watch the whole fight, but you kind of see the canvas and all the blood. But but at 205, I'm just a better fighter because while I'm not as big mass wise, my frame wise, I'm as big as those guys, and I'm quicker. I'm faster. My cardio is way better.
Yeah, and for you, it looks like, I mean, you're a guy with big hands. It looks like you got a long reach. So are those some of your advantages? I mean, does it help having big hands and long reach?
Yeah, except that I feel like everybody in my division is a big guy.
Yeah.
You know, you got to remember the UFC, plus in the top 15 in the world. Everybody's a behemoth. And while I'm definitely not like a...
Look at the canvas.
So you're on a broken leg here?
I'm on a broken leg right here.
Which leg? The right leg?
My left leg. Which is why you'll see I fight in southpaw quite a bit. I'm more of I do switch it up quite a bit.
Look at that guy. This is like a horror movie. Look at
his face.
And mind you, this is both our third fight of the night too. So...
Oh, my gosh.
It was pretty grueling. And after I got my leg kicked, I remember I was like, just survive, man. Survive.
You can see you're kind of sheltering that left leg there, too.
Oh, no doubt. Like I said, dude, as soon as this fight was over, I could not take one step by myself.
There's no way this guy, he's thinking about, like, getting your leg, though. I mean, he's got other things he's focused on.
And this is the third round, so that a lot of the damage
not dying.
is done.
Oh, God.
This literally looks like a horror movie, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, dude, this guy had a couple UFC wins, and like I said, he got cut for a domestic dispute. Beat up his girlfriend, and so got cut rightfully so. You know what's crazy? I think he's from New Mexico, and his family's kind of like just some dirt bags. I mean, I don't want to sprinkle too much shit on him, but then his brother who was there cornering him that night, like, was beating up his girlfriend. Again, this was like a couple years ago, and I think the girlfriend or some guy came in and just shot him, killed him.
No.
Oh my gosh.
His brother? This guy's brother?
This guy's brother, who that night was cornering him.
Wow.
Yeah, man, and he was,
Bro, that's a scary sight for, I mean, that guy's, I mean, he scares me.
You know what? Also, it was kind of, so the night before we had our weigh-ins, right? Well, then we went out to, we had weigh-in dinner at Olive Garden. And that's another cool thing I find. We always have like a weigh-in dinner with all your boys or whatnot.
Yeah.
This guy was there, sitting at a table right next to us.
No.
Before the fight. This is
the night before the fight.
Before the fight.
And I was like, you watch me and this dude are fighting in the finals. Guarantee it. As I'm having dinner. I'm like, guarantee it. Sure as shit, man.
Wow.
So you were talking about how you could make, middleweight or light heavyweight, but, maybe at middleweight, you're not, you might be bigger than those guys, but not as quick. But do you think when you cut weight, it also affects your chin? Because that's what I hear a lot of people say is like, when you're cutting weight, you're struggling to make that weight. Do you think you're easier to get knocked out?
Yeah, I think so. I think I don't know how much weight that holds, but I definitely think so.
You think that's legit?
I think that's legit, 100%. You know, you're depleting your body of all the water, and your brain is like a sponge as well.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's definitely legit.
That's crazy. So do you have any plans on what you want to do after fighting? Because, we talked about how it's not going to last forever.
Right.
You talked about maybe commentating, or maybe you could open up your own gym. Have you kind of thought about that side of things?
Or pizza restaurant.
Yeah, pizza restaurant.
Pizza restaurant. I would love to.
Or work at Pins and Aces.
I live down in Roxborough. We need a pizza restaurant. I need to open a good wood-fired pizza place.
Yeah.
But, man, I don't know. I feel like I'm starting to get asked that question more and more. I feel like I'm very fortunate, man. I have a ton of good people around me, and I feel like the options and opportunities are pretty endless with where I want to go.
Yeah.
I feel like my main calling and the main thing I was put on this earth to do, I think, was to lead. And I think I'm a pretty good coach. I think I naturally am a good leader, and I love kids too. I think helping kids, whether it's through coaching, mentoring, speaking, whatever it may be, maybe that route.
Yeah.
Not quite sure. I said I definitely want to finish my career strong.
Yeah.
Like I said, 3 to 5 years, man. This is a young man's sport. I've been in it a long time, but I'm still going strong. But I do realize, in the big picture, I'm definitely towards the end, as compared to the beginning, and I feel like I've given so much of myself to this sport, and it's kind of like. Being a black belt, jiu-jitsu is not really my thing in a sense. I don't really care about the belt system or being a black belt, but it's all the years. Like the average black belt, you're not getting a black belt unless you're like 10 years in the game plus. And I feel like I've given so much to the sport that I need to do something with the sport. It's really weird, though. It's fascinating. You guys might find this fascinating. MMA and the sport in general doesn't really capture my heart or give me the drive like you would think it would, which is kind of crazy. People look at me like, oh, this guy's been a pro fighter for 14 years.
Yeah.
But it's not something I've really been passionate about. I mean, I've definitely worked hard and I've definitely enjoyed it. It just doesn't set my heart on fire like coaching kids would. Or, it's very interesting. You think, oh, this guy's been a pro for 14 years. Like, he's got to love it, right? And while I do enjoy it, and I do love a lot of what it stands for, what it's about. I don't know, man. My love isn't all in committed to it. So, but then again, part of me feels like it would be a crime to walk away.
Yeah.
You know, because I have so much of my time invested in it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I could say right now with certainty, I'll probably coach one way or the other. I'm just not sure of what it'll be in.
Okay. And there's probably got to be a fine line between, like, you know, realistically, you got to look forward to life after fighting. But at the same time, you know, you win 3 fights, you're right in the thick of fighting Alex Pereira. So mentally, are you trying to, like, right now's my time. I don't want to think about too far out because, you know, I could still be a champion.
My focus is here.
Yeah, I could be a champion
Absolutely.
in 18 months.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at, man. I truly feel, you know, this last fight, that's what I'm still not over my last fight.
I watched that one.
Bro, it's a fight. If you look at the numbers, and if you just look at what happened during that fight and you just look at the numbers, you'd clearly think I won.
Yeah, you got fucked on that.
Well, you know,
I don't understand the UFC scoring system either. I don't.
So here's the thing. A lot of people are like,
Everyone
man,
was saying
got
you won that fight, though.
You know, and there was. But I will say this. What happened in that fight in the 3rd round, he caught me with a big punch. And I went down. And I fought back out of it. But the damage, I feel, was done. And I've won some fights that way. I've won some close fights that went to decision in the UFC where I dropped the guy.
Yeah.
And then it's like, boom, done. Like, I guarantee I won. And I won.
Yeah.
And in that fight, I got dropped in the 3rd round of a fight that I was clearly winning. I still do not think the better fighter won that night, but he did. He got his hands raised, and it still eats at me, man. I can't believe that happened because I told you with McMaynard, I told him, watch, I'm gonna get a couple big wins. I'm gonna fight Pereira for that title.
Yeah.
And that was just one of the wins in the way. I get that win right there. I get my hands raised.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally 1, maybe 2 fights away because timing's everything.
Yeah.
Timing's everything in the UFC. It's not that ranking system, while it is awesome and it is hard to get in the top 15 and everybody wants to number by their name, it's all a popular contest, right? It's all who's who. The ranking system really has no backing.
Yeah.
It's like if you're a popular guy and the fans love you, like you climb up in the rankings.
Yeah.
So there's really nothing securing that, nothing hard, you know, behind that. Most of the time.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, I win that fight, I am a fight or 2 away from Pereira. So that hurts a ton, man. And I don't think I've went back too far. I go out there and get another big win like I did in August.
Yeah.
Had a big first round knockout, another performance bonus, which was awesome against, you know, a guy the UFC was really high on in Kennedy and Zujeku.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody was a big fan of that guy. I thought he was the next big thing, and I derailed that. So I just got to go out there and have another big win, another good performance, and get right back in the mix.
So who determines that? How do you determine your next fight? You're talking to this guy, and he says, okay, we've got a card open in August. You know, we're going to put you on the card. You got to win that fight. Then it kind of takes care of, obviously winning takes care of everything.
Absolutely.
But you got to kind of get that next fight, and then you really got to gear in for that fight. Is that kind of how that works?
Yeah, so my manager, he's constantly working. He's constantly talking with the UFC, and you go out there and win, man. Like you said, winning takes care of everything. I've told these younger guys, man, winning cures everything. You don't have no problems when you're winning. You know, when you're losing, it's always you're pointing directions. Sometimes you just got to look in the mirror, get the job done, and everything is just falls into place, right?
Yeah.
And so your manager's constantly working, you're winning fights, and then when you're winning, like when I won 8-9 in a row, the ball's in your court. You kind of start calling your shots. Look at McGregor.
Yeah.
Guy calls his shots.
Yeah.
When you're the man of the hour, you know, you got to do what you want to do. You know, the ball's in your court. So you got a manager working for it, and then it's like, I'm like, hey man, I want to fight in the August time frame, and he's like, okay. They tell UFC, how it's worked with me, it's like I've pretty much picked my fights. Like I want to fight around this time frame. Boom, you got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're
And then nowadays, so they used to back in the UFC when I first was there, they give you an opponent and that's it. You know, you've got no leeway, you've got no negotiation. You can say yes or no. If you say no, that's not good. They don't like that. They don't like when you say no.
Yeah.
And you say yes, okay, we're good to go. Now, the game's changed a little bit. They want you to, as a fighter, you know, they're in the ring like, hey, man, Nick, great performance. Who do you want to fight next? So you call out your next guy. If you call your shot, there's a good chance that could happen, you know, if it works out for both guys.
Okay.
So they're giving a little more leeway, a little more options. You know, a little more like,
fighter.
hey, here's 3 guys. Who do you like? I like this guy. Boom. They reach out to that guy. Boom. It's done.
That's pretty crazy. And before we got on the pod, we were talking about Sean O'Malley, how he kind of had a meteoric rise to the top. You're obviously a humble guy, you know, not crazy outspoken. Did you ever have guys in your corner who were trying to tell you, like, hey, you got to be more talkative, you got to be more outgoing, call people out, kind of put on almost that WWE facade to get those big fights? Have you ever had that temptation? What was that kind of like?
Yeah, definitely a temptation. Definitely people that, you know, but also people know me too. I'm not that type of guy. My social medias, I don't have a huge presence. I'm not like out there every day posting stuff.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just a down to earth, easygoing guy. But I tell you what, man, it pays off for guys like Sean O'Malley. I mean, like I said, the UFC strapping a rocket ship to that guy's back because of his following. Yeah. And I agree, man. You look at the guy, you're like, this guy is like one of the best fighters in the world. I feel that too, but the guy shows up, he performs, and that following's everything. You got a big following, man. The UFC will push you, and they're pushing him like nobody else. They're pushing him like nobody else. He's got the following, man.
Yeah.
Is that why they're pushing him so hard? Is because of the following? You think there's reasons that we don't know about? Maybe you do, or you don't even know about.
Well, A, I think certainly the following, and then B, I mean, he continues to win inside the octagon too. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like
Winning takes care of that.
Winning takes care of that, and you know, the people love him. He's got a big crowd, and the UFC loves the storyline and they love the numbers. Man, if you can push the needle, the UFC loves you.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, anyone got to go run to the bathroom or get more drinks?
Yeah, you need Liam's got this bladder the size of a squirrel. So.
Yeah. Dustin can get another beer too.
We'll take 2. We'll clap and we'll come back.
You want me to beatbox? I'm just kidding.
Let's maybe talk about Dustin, how you got into golf. Talk about pins and aces. I don't even know how. Maybe you guys started talking. Liam does a lot of our social stuff. So how did you get into golf? How did you find pins and aces? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I started playing golf. Well, I always kind of played golf, but when I was a kid, I was this big sports guy. I was a football, basketball,
Golf
baseball
wasn't cool.
guy. Golf wasn't cool.
No.
It's like we'd go to the golf course to see how far. In fact, in high school, we had 2-a-day football practices, and I remember we'd practice in the morning. We'd get our golf clubs, and we'd head to the golf course, and I wish I cared more at that time, but it was just Happy Gilmore that shit, move on, get back to the next football practice, and then I think in like 2013, 2014 is when I really like got the golf bug and started playing competitively and going all in and just loving the game, man. So I've been playing good golf for like 10 years. By good golf I mean like just like caring like.
What's your handicap?
So, funny you ask. I'm a 7 handicap.
Oh, okay. You're a good player then.
Well, I identify as a 15.
Okay.
Sound like Derek. You sound like Derek.
So, you definitely have to give me strokes.
So, he's a reverse bagger.
Yeah,
We talked about it on the
literally
pod.
Derek.
I just told my buddies I got my guys' golf trip coming up, our 9th year. We're going to
for a
Vegas
bagger.
next month. My other buddy who sets it up does a lot of leg work. He sends out like every week. Here's the course we're playing, the fly-by-fly. He gets everybody.
You need a
pumped
friend
up.
like that.
Yeah.
That's big time.
And absolutely.
Yeah,
And-
it's Liam.
And I told him, I was like, hey, man, well, since we're weeks away, I guess now would be a good time to let you guys know I'm identifying as a 15 handicap. And you got to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
You got to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's what I am.
Yeah.
It's what I choose
Did you
to be.
post your scores to inflate that number a little bit or what?
I just identify.
Okay.
I just gotta say identify.
You can identify as anything
Anything,
nowadays.
right?
So,
2024.
Yeah, man. I mean, senior PGA Tour, women's PGA Tour, that's probably my goal, my
Honestly.
future golf.
well, like the golf is not cool thing is funny because when Nick joined the family like 10 years ago now. You know, he was a big golfer. Me and my dad thought golf was super dumb. We thought he was like a big narp because he played golf. Thought he was the most unathletic guy ever. So we would give him shit for being a golfer. And now me and my dad are obsessed with golf. So we're like, I wish we would have, taken it a bit serious back in the day, but because now we want to be as good as Nick. But
What's your handicap?
Him or me?
You.
Me, I'm a 0. I played with scratch.
Okay.
So legit scratch, and
I get 15 strokes. I love it.
Now that we've got some backstory here, you'll maybe
watch
get
the tape.
Aside. Yeah. We'll reevaluate after 9. But no, it's funny because much of my buddies, it was cool because like the high school I went to, there wasn't like a big popular or loser crowd. Like everyone kind of got along fine. So I played golf, but I got along with the guys who played basketball and football are some of my good buddies. But they
Which
made
high school?
fun
Up
of
north,
me.
right?
Longmont High School.
Okay, so a little bit smaller.
Yeah, and I had this buddy Reggie who was our quarterback at Longmont, and he was like, "Bro, golf is so stupid. Like, why would you fucking play that?" Now he like can't get enough of it, and he sucks. And he's like, "I wish I would have played more golf." And everybody's like that. Like, God, I just got beat up and hurt. I wish I would have just focused on golf. And Michael Jordan's even like, if Tiger Woods was around when I was growing up, there's no way I'd be in the NBA. Like, I would have just wanted to play golf.
That's wild, man. And you're right. Everybody does say that, man. I wish I would have played younger. I wish I would have cared when I was younger.
Yeah, that's what everybody.
And it's really cool watching the videos of the guys that do, like when they were kids.
Yeah.
Like that Thigala guy.
Yeah.
Did you see that over the weekend?
Yeah.
And watching him like swing as a kid, even Tiger Woods, swing as a kid, like you have to like love it. Like you have to be that's what you were put on earth to do. Okay, I can't imagine being a 5-year-old kid and swinging the club, watching the ball, caring about where it went, or even making contact and just being involved.
Right.
And that's super cool to see where they're at today.
Yeah. Do you think that's a COVID thing, Nick, or do you think it's going to kind of die back down? Or
I think the trend's kind of coming down a little bit. I think more people got into it with COVID, but I think it's here to stay. I think people realize, like, hey, it's fun. It's something to do outdoors. You can do it your whole life. That's what's great about golf. You can play it from when you're 4 to when you're 94.
Yeah.
And so that's what's really fun. My grandpa always said he played till he died when he was 96, and he played like on his 95th birthday.
That's
and
insane.
so
What a cool story.
And he was like, I know it's time to give up golf when I could hear my drives land. And but that's when he was like 95, but he was still out there playing golf,
That's insane, man.
So yeah, that's what's great about golf. You can do it. And everyone comes in and like, "Oh, you're a scratch. I don't want to play with you. I'm not good." As long as you keep up pace of play, it does not matter. It does not matter.
Dude, I am the same way. Yeah. My thing I say, I don't care if you suck fast.
Yeah.
I don't care if you suck. I can play with anybody. Don't be annoying and just keep up. Because also when I play, bro, I'm playing.
Yeah.
I don't want to I hate distractions. I don't look at my phone ever.
No.
Like we're playing golf.
Yeah.
I'm in it and we're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't care if you suck fast, man.
Yeah, that's what John tells his wife, and so it's a good
It's a
mentality.
new rule this year. My wife can't talk to me on the course unless it's an emergency.
So
My,
do your
that
wives
was a
play?
sexual innuendo for you, John.
Do
Hey.
the wives play?
I think your wife does a little bit. She dabbles.
She dabbles.
Ashley knows, like,
Smack it.
I get like not psycho on the golf course, but
I'd say it's psycho.
I've toned it down a little bit. But
Throwing clubs and
sometimes-
You're a club thrower.
Oh, Nick's a big club thrower. We'll get out and play soon. You'll see.
Okay.
I guarantee if you play one round with us, you'll see a club throw.
it's so I've perfected the club throw where there's no damage, like, but I'll look for sure of like, okay, I'm gonna throw this 60 yards right down the fairway. They'll just fling a wedge, But yeah, that's definitely me. But my wife's like, I want to stay out of like that's my thing, and she's like, I don't want any part of golf.
His wife practiced for their honeymoon, and then they played one round, and she's like, never again.
I'm out.
Yeah,
That's cool. So does that affect the family? Like, because golf is time consuming. Does that affect like you got certain hours that you can be out? Does she get mad when you're out?
my wife is. You'd be shocked. She's like the most chill person. She lets me do a lot of things that I probably shouldn't be allowed to do with 4 kids. But no, it's pretty good because we usually are playing golf as a family too. So
That's super cool. The kids play golf?
Not yet. We'll get them in. My oldest just turned 6, so want to get her out this year. And then the other ones are 2 and 3. So
Gotcha.
And it's perfect because me, you, John, and my dad can go play as a foursome, obviously, and then their 2 wives and all the kids can hang out. So it kind of works out perfect,
Man, you guys
for a
are on a
foursome.
gravy train with biscuit wheels.
yeah, oh yeah, we are.
And it's work. We can
Yeah,
say, hey, we got to film
absolutely.
content.
Hey,
we got to film
absolutely.
content.
we own a
man.
golf company,
I'm
so
jealous.
it's work. It's
Whenever
not,
we tell the girls, yeah, we got to go film content, they're like, yeah, fuck,
yeah.
fuck off with the
That
content.
is super cool, man. That is awesome.
So we can write it off. So how did you find Pins and Aces? I mean, kind of random. I know we're Colorado, but how did that come about?
So a buddy of mine, Robert Bell, who
Yeah, I
you guys
know
know,
Robert.
he comes in here all the time. He was constantly talking. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he's that type of guy that he loves the quirky stuff. Like this is right down his alley. Pins and Aces is right down his alley.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
Like he reps it on the court. That's just him. Like if he showed up in your guys' gear, that's totally him. And he was telling me about it one day. In fact, he met you on the course one time. He
Yeah.
was wearing a Pins and Aces
Yes,
hat.
yes.
And you were like, "Oh, you know Pins and Aces."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, man, I did new company. You should check them out." You're like, "Well, I actually owned the company. I started the company."
Yeah.
We still laugh about that, but that's pretty cool, man. And,
Yeah.
And he got me hooked on it. And of course, I'm an avid golfer, so I was reaching out to different companies as well, trying to, collab and do different things that way. And he's the one that put me on Pins and Aces and came in here, a couple months ago. You guys hooked me up with a bag, which I'm very thankful for. That bag's super dope.
Yeah.
I got a lot of my buddies that are going to want to get one once you get that real tree out there and advertise, man. I guarantee there's some sales coming in there.
Dropping this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Is it this weekend?
Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
The
so
real tree drops.
but in Central Illinois, man, hardcore,
Yeah.
conservative hunters, and man, they want that bag. So be on the lookout. They'll be on the lookout too. But yeah, super cool company, man. Appreciate you guys having me on the podcast. And, and I can't wait to get swagged out. You guys hooked me up with a gift box too. So
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny because I knew Robert. He came in all the time, but we see a lot of people in the retail store. So like you meet some people, which is cool. And a lot of people tell you like, hey, I know this guy. And I think, I had talked to Robert for a while. He said he knew some UFC fighters. And sometimes you kind of have to take everything with a grain of salt.
100%. I
Because
totally
people are
get it.
always name dropping.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
And so like,
I'm always like, my guard's always up.
yeah. And it's like, people are always trying to get free stuff and whatever. And we do giveaways and a lot of free stuff. But when
You guys do
Robert,
that is super cool about it.
yeah, and when Robert was like, yeah, I know Dustin Jacoby and all these guys, I was kind of like, yeah, okay, cool, man. And then when you came in with him, I was like, oh shit, he's not bullshitting.
I tell you what, man, Robert's a great dude, and he's a good golfer too. That's my Barstool Classic buddy. This will be our 4th or 5th year.
Sick.
Playing in the tournament. We haven't qualified yet. It's the first couple years the nerves get to you, and then the past couple just haven't made it. But we're right there, man. And Robert's a great dude, good golfer, and good buddy.
Where does he play out of, and where do you play out of?
So I play primarily Raccoon Creek. I live down in Roxborough. I'll play anywhere but Raccoon Creek over
Nick
the
loves
past
that course.
couple
I do,
of years. You love that course?
I've
Or you
had-
got history.
I've had history there. Recently, I shit my pants on that course. Yeah.
So do we all have a shit in the pants story on the golf course?
That's a one time. I had to put on rain pants, throw my pants in the lake, but
man.
that's when I was a kid. It was a one time. It still haunts me. If I have to feel like I got to shit, I'm like, oh fuck, here we go, Raccoon Creek all over again. Flashbacks to Raccoon Creek. But no, it is a good course. And they built that nice little wedding venue, right?
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Lodge and,
Barn.
and they sell a ton of pin stuff there. So it's cool.
I tell you what, man, that is not an easy course.
No.
In fact, my personal record, my best golf score ever is at Raccoon Creek. It was at par 72. I shot a 72. And I should have shot a 70 that day. I missed like 2 4-foot, 2 putts just right outside the gimme range. That I missed. So it should have been a 70. And prior to shooting that 72 at that course, I had never broke 80 at Raccoon Creek.
Oh shit.
Wow.
It was just one of them days, man. As you know how golf
working.
goes. So
Yeah, that day 10. I remember it was like a high school event. Hole number 10, I think when
Easily
we played-
drivable.
Drivable, right? But there's water right if you hit it straight. Like if you
there's a little creek that crosses.
creek, and there's like a bunch of like woodland, water, wetland shit
Out to the
way to
right.
the right.
Yeah.
So everyone's trying to drive the green. I sprayed 2 right, couldn't get it to turn over. I ended up making like a 13 or a 14 on that hole. It was the worst hole ever. I ended up hitting like an iron, and then the iron was short, went in the water. I ended up like hitting 8 from the women's tee box or something, 8 or 9. And then
Oh, no.
it was like one of those nightmares where you're like, it's an impossible hole. I'm never going to get this ball in the hole. And yeah, it was like a 13 or 14.
And the worst part
And then
about
I shit
that,
my pants a couple holes later.
like, if I don't birdie or at least par that hole, I'm so pissed.
I know, yeah. Try making a 13 there.
Yeah.
And shit in your pants.
I
Hold
feel
later.
and shit in your pants. Well, I mean, if we're gonna be honest, I did have a sharp moment one time, and it was on the course at the Air Force Base.
It
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, it just happened, man, and had to run. Thankfully, it was hole 9, so we were at the turn. Ran to the bathroom, threw my shit away, bought a new pair of shorts, and continued on, man. And again, I told you, like when I'm golfing, I'm golfing. So I was pissed that I was that guy. Like if my buddy had done that, I'm like, here we go, we're waiting for this guy. So I was sprinting to the bathroom, sprinting to get the shorts, threw so often. I was back on the tee box like nothing ever happened. So.
Bro, I mean, you shit your pants at the Waste Management, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't really talk about it before until the podcast, but it's because like I don't know
There
if
we
he
go.
told you, but we got up and got in line at 3:30 in the morning.
Wait, who was the one that
was
raced
Stewie.
the first one through?
Yeah,
I
Stewie should
saw
be
it
here, but
online.
he's in Florida. Yeah.
Okay.
So we got up at like 3:30 and
Did you get up or did you just stay up? For the
No,
night
we
before?
got up.
Okay, you
which
got
was
up.
probably smart because there was guys who stayed up and they were dead by like 6 a.m. So we like ran through the first gate and then they funneled us into like this tiny little area that was like 10 people wide. And we had no bathrooms and I can't control myself. I got to go to the bathroom every like hour. So I was waiting in there from like
Well, and you're just pissing on the ground, right?
yeah, like
you just go to the
4:15. So
fence.
everyone was just like pissing on the ground. And before I left that morning, I was like, I kind of got to shit. And I didn't. And then I was calling Stewie, and I was like, Stewie, I'm not going to make it to the hole, so you got to save us spots. And as I was running, I had a
It
slight
happened.
hiccup.
It
So when
happened.
I got to the hole, we got our seats, and I was like, Stewie, I'm going to go to the porta potty. Threw the underwear away, and then I came back and had the rest of the day
big deal.
free-balling.
No big deal, man.
It was a tough round,
Happens
but
to the best of us.
yeah, I feel like it happens to everyone. So
You know, everybody's got a story. I used to be that guy like, I don't have a story. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you have a shit in your pants
grow
story?
up.
Yeah, now I got a shit in
Grow
your
up,
pants
yeah.
story. So
There's well, especially for me. I mean, you're going on this big Vegas trip with your buddies in a couple weeks. For me, like at John's bachelor party, we were in Arizona. We're playing True North, ironically, and we were there in what, July or August, June.
Pot.
It's like 1:20. We had an afternoon tea time with the boys, and we drank the whole night before it. And the next day, I just know I get the worst day after beer shits. And so I'm bringing like an extra towel, a roll of toilet paper. I'm preparing for the Raccoon Creek creep up here, And sure enough, by like hole 8, it's like in the middle of, we're forever away from any bathroom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm driving in. I'll meet you guys. So I got
Went from
4 minutes.
the leading group to the end group.
Yeah.
Ends up being like a 6-hour round. I'm
It's
sprawled
like-
out in the fairway.
It's like 120
Waiting for
degrees.
Nick, like 30
I'd run
minutes.
back to the clubhouse, shit, and then come back, and yeah, and then we were like ended up being
Dying in
last
the
group.
heat.
Yeah.
It was, and you know what's crazy is like if you go to like Arizona or Vegas in the summer, it's so hard to drink beer when it's like that hot. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't even drink beer. We were just drinking water and Gatorade, and you couldn't even put a beer down.
So-
You're pissing every hole.
have you guys tried Natter Days?
Yeah.
The pink lemonade
Yeah,
Natter
yeah,
Day?
yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
That is my summertime when it's hot. That's
Really?
my summertime drink.
That's Daniel Mauer's drink. He comes up on the podcast every time.
Yeah, he comes up every time.
Natter Day?
That's
Yeah.
his shit.
He
like
comes
that.
up on the podcast.
One of
every
his
time.
buddies, it doesn't. It's like for a new thing every week, but he comes up on the podcast every single
That's
episode.
hilarious.
He's all
Whether
about
he's
the
betting
Natter
or
Day guy.
drinking, yeah, he's funny
In
guy.
Vietnam, they drink their beer with ice. It's kind of the move.
Really?
Try your beer with ice.
Maybe in the summer.
I've seen guys in Scottsdale
Liquid
do
it.
that.
It's good.
Yeah, they get a beer on ice.
Yeah.
And they're like, you have to.
do you visit Scottsdale? Have you played golf there?
Yeah, I mean, our family has a house down there on True North, so we go down there like once or twice a month, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
we've been
once a
down there
month.
three times this month. I'm going back down there Wednesday. So
So we go down all the time.
yeah,
Yeah.
go down there all the time. It's
Nice.
nice to get away from the cold. And
Hell yeah.
we used to go skiing all the time, and we like going to Breckenridge. But now you got to let's see. Do I want to go to negative 20 degrees and freeze my ass off on a chairlift, or do I want to go to 72 and sunny and play golf? It's a tough decision. So we're mostly taking that golf option.
Well,
That's super cool.
usually we talk about business a little bit on this podcast, and we were talking about Dustin's social media and kind of Sean O'Malley's social media. Nick, talk about how you took the Pins and Aces Instagram, TikTok, kind of Facebook, because we didn't hire anyone to grow that. You grew that yourself. So like, why did you do that? Because, there's companies who are smaller than us who have an outside, agency run their social media. So why did you do that, and kind of how did you grow it?
Yeah, I think for us too, and I mean, you're kind of similar. It's all, you could pay for followers, you could do this. Everything we've done has always been organic. And
Same.
we've always wanted to put brand first. And so we don't want to sacrifice like a short-term gain and have some crazy inflated social media number and have, bots commenting and liking. We've never done that. So everything we've have done has been organic, and it's a true testament to the brand, I think, with when you have a real TikTok, a real YouTube, a real Instagram, and the YouTube's small, but there's more content coming, and we want to get onto that. But I just think it's important to be organic with who you are.
Yeah.
And it's authentic.
It's authentic. And it's like
this is
you.
who we are.
You're not a shit talker. Probably everyone who comes on here would shit talk Jake Paul. You're like, hey, he's kind of a nice guy. Like, he's a pretty good boxer.
Yeah.
Like to fight him, but he's a good boxer.
I'd love to fight him, but I give the guy respect, man.
Yeah.
He's legit. And like we were talking earlier, and you were talking like you got guys that tell you to kind of be like brash, and it's just not me, man. Like all my stuff's organic as well. I don't push for followers, but you know what? All those got like 15,000 followers. Those guys, they all know me and they all love me. Like those are it's organic.
Those are true
it's
fans.
Real, man.
Yeah, so same thing with us. Like every one of our followers is like a fan, a true fan. And then you can leverage that more when you are doing a cool collab or you've got someone cool on the podcast that are actually going to be engaged rather than, hey, I got 50,000 followers and they're from a Russian bot farm.
Right. Right.
And you ran the Instagram pretty much all by yourself. I help you now do majority of it now, I would say, but it was all you up until a year ago.
Yeah, and that's it's tough because it gets to a point too where you want to take care of every customer, but we probably get 50 DMs a day. I'm sure you do too, of people trying to sponsor you or do stuff, sell something.
Yeah. Get something. Yeah.
Get something for free. What can you get? Whatever.
Right.
Some of the messages are just abhorrent.
People shoot their shots, don't they?
Shoot their shots.
They shoot their shots.
A lot of shots.
A lot of shots.
The best ones are like, you get this guy and he messages you and he's like, hey, I can really help out with marketing. Like, I want to be a brand ambassador. Like, can you send me some free stuff? I'll help you promote. You click on his profile or her profile. It's like 2 posts, 37 followers, and it's like,
yeah.
You want to be nice and be like, hey, man, here's a discount code. Like, we're running a 10% off sale. Use this. But yeah, there's people who come in and give them credit, I guess. They're funny to see, but
for sure.
Why did you take the approach to like kind of the really organic, unpolished content? Because that's kind of, what we pride ourselves on is really everything that you see is truly who we are, kind of behind the scenes. But some of our competitors, some other brands, it's like very polished. They don't like to show who's behind the brand. Kind of touch on that a little bit.
So I think for us, and maybe this is kind of another reason you like Pins, is like we're a small family business. We're not beholden to investors or outside money or a PR firm or whatever. Like, hey, this is where we are. I mean, we're sacrificing high velocity sales growth for organic brand development is what we want to do, right? So we don't want to take the approach of doing that. We want to be raw and authentic, and this is who we are as a brand. And hey, if you relate to that, then great. We'd love your support. And if not, that's okay. There's a bunch of other polished golf brands that you can get stuff from, but that's just who we are, I guess.
I tell you what, man. One thing that turned me on to you guys big time. I had no idea you were a Denver-based company.
Yeah.
So when Robert told me that, he's like, "Dude, we should go by Pins and Aces." I'm like, "Hold on, they're here in Denver." He's like, "Yeah, they're out of Denver."
Yeah.
And when I was here, I don't know, a month or two ago, the first time when I first met both you guys.
Yeah.
That turned me on big time that you guys are right here. I'm like, that's my home team. That is my home crowd. That is super cool. I had no idea.
Yeah, well, not only we're Colorado, like you've seen the operation, it's not like a 3PL, which I shit on all the time.
Here we go.
We're 3PL bank it. But, where you see these companies and they're really a marketing business. They've got someone running their social, they've got someone doing their photography, and then they're drop shipping from a warehouse or China or wherever. Like everything's here. There's our employees are shipping your order. We're making your polos, like we're embroidering them here for our courses. We're doing everything soup to nuts, from photography, from graphic design to operations to social media. Everything's in-house. There's nothing outsourced in the business, which I think is unique and cool.
That's what still makes America great.
Yeah.
Is small businesses that are run like that.
Yeah.
They care about their customers, care about their employees. We do the small things. It's not shortcuts or
You're not selling out.
That's what I mean. And, still the majority of the U.S. GDP and economy is that type of business.
Yeah, it's 85%.
We want to be like that.
Yeah.
It's very important to us.
We could be making more money. We could outsource the operations. We could have a smaller building and just focus on the marketing and sales and the brand. But, we have 27 full-time employees. Those employees have, a spouse, and then they have kids. And so each employee, you're probably responsible for 4 people in that family. We're responsible. There's over 100 people relying on us to be able to provide for them. And, you're sacrificing some profitability on that for.
You're going to give me
us.
heartburn.
We could be making more money. It's stressful, but, we're creating these American jobs, and people always say that, some products, we have pretty diverse supply chain. Stuff's made, like our polos are made in Vietnam. We have head covers in Colombia. There's some products in China, and people are like, well, you say you're an American business. Well, we are, because we've hired 27 full-time employees, and so it's just like Apple.
Nice.
Apple's an American business, and they've got tens of thousands of employees, but their iPhone's made in China. Doesn't mean they're not an American company.
Interesting. Yeah, that gave me a new perspective right there.
You can create an American business and have American jobs, not just making everything in America. And we certainly make a lot of products here in the U.S. Like for an Augusta drop, we're making some products that are made here. The head cover we gave you is made right here in this shop. So we're making some stuff in the U.S. But as you scale, look, if we did everything in the U.S., we'd be a lot smaller and we'd have 5 employees. But as we can scale and we can have economies of scale and leverage a diverse supply chain, we can hire more people, then in turn creating more American jobs. So
tell you what, that's an interesting perspective, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. Think of it like that.
Yeah. So it's I think maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, and the thing I like about running the Instagram is because there's really nothing that we can't say or can't do.
Yeah, you have nobody else
on the edge.
Pretty
on the edge, but that's kind of who we are. So a lot of people don't like it, but that's kind of whatever.
That's the problem when you start outsourcing your company and getting all these investors. You have to deal with everybody's opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
If you keep it in house, man, it's all you don't like it.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's other companies out there.
Yeah. We'll take a vote. John and I, we're the decide. Okay, we're gonna do this. That's it.
That's super cool. Man.
And I won't say the company name, but we were working on a giveaway with some company recently, and just to do a giveaway with them, it's you got to talk to their marketing agency, this person, that person, and it's for a simple polo giveaway.
Right.
Sometimes me and Nick will wake up and be like, "Fuck it, let's give away an Xbox today," and if he approves it, we just do it.
That's another thing. Since I followed you guys are super generous too. I've noticed a bunch of giveaways to waste management. You took a couple guys to waste management, and they were from Illinois too.
Yeah, they were Champaign.
Cool, man. Were they cool dudes?
Yeah, they were awesome.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they were super cool guys. So we got really lucky with that.
Because you never know what you're going to get. Right?
Well, and it was a true, I always kind of question, the guy's giving away the Lambo, and it's like the
$10,000 giveaway, the truck, the Raptor. Right.
Friend or what? This was a true giveaway. We went through one time, picked the guy, and he was a cool dude. But you could have been, which I'm sure we still would have had pretty open personalities, but it could have been a 65-year-old grandma who entered into the competition.
Yeah.
And, she could have won. We probably would have had a good time with her. But
I would have loved her.
She's not getting first to the, when they open the gates, she's not going to be first.
No.
Yeah, she would have struggled with that run.
And because you
probably would have shit her pants too, but that's it.
Did you go Friday?
Friday, yeah.
So they got in Friday. Yeah, you would have.
Low key Jim right there.
And
something good for here.
The giveaway winners, John likes the quiet one-liners. Yeah. But
they gave me the special mic.
Yeah, the special mic.
It's got to be close. It's the handicap mic. It's the handicap. We need a little handicap stall over there.
And the giveaway winners, we had them tickets where they could have gone in whatever time they wanted, but they decided to get up with us at 3 a.m., hang out with us all day. So that was pretty cool too. Yeah. A lot of people are like that. So.
Yeah.
What'd you just do there with the Zen?
You put it in the little Zen replacement pocket? So you put your used in here? You didn't know that?
Wow, no, I did not.
People didn't know. The Zen.
You mind if I get a Zen?
Yeah, of course. One? Look, you go in here. This little back piece opens, and that's where you're supposed to put your used. Yeah.
That's where you put used Zenners?
And right there.
Come back out with it?
Right there.
And you put it back in?
No. When you're done with it, it's if you're on an airplane or you're here and you can't just spit it on the ground, you put it in the ring right there. Yeah.
See, I tell you what, man. I used to.
You got to be a professional.
I used to be a hardcore chewer, and in fact, in high school, my twin brother and I were in high school.
Yeah.
And our stocking, we would have a log of chew from our parents.
Really?
And I'll
I
still
love that. I rate that from your parents.
I'll still chew a little bit here and there, but it's one habit that I've kind of kicked. So I had never had a Zyn, and last summer, right after I fought the
Oh, I thought this was your first one. I'm like,
no.
Oh fuck.
It's not the first one. I'll tell you my first one. So we go to the Lake of the Ozarks right after I had that big win in August. We go to the Lake of the Ozarks every year. My bachelor party was there. Been going for a long time.
Yeah.
And I met these younger dudes. They were super cool, 25-year-old kids. We partied with them on the dock next door, and they pulled out this Zyn. And this was like, I don't know, 11, 12 o'clock at night after 100 beers that day. And I had my first Zyn. And they're like, oh, bro, if that's your first one, you got to do a double-decker.
Oh.
And so I put 2 Zyns in. Bro, by 30 minutes later, max, my whole world was spinning. I think I puked, and I went to bed.
Bro.
For sure.
I was donezo.
Probably a good time. You've heard the story of me in college with the Copenhagen.
Yeah.
So I had we're at the. Have you ever been to the Sundance in Fort Collins?
No.
You ever been to Fort Collins? It's like this
I've been
country
up there,
bar.
but okay.
On Tuesday nights when I was in college, this was like 10 to 12, 2010 to 2012. They had Tuesday nights. It was 25-cent drinks, 50-cent doubles.
Okay.
So you could go for $5 and you're done. For the
Yeah.
night. You're having a good time.
College, baby.
College. So there was this girl I was talking to. She went to my high school, and she went to some like JUCO out in Kansas or something. She's like, I'm gonna drive to Sundance. Like I'm gonna leave in the morning, and I'm gonna meet you there that night. I was like, great. Like pretty cute chick. She's coming out to the Sundance. So I'm going with my boys and get a round of drinks. Like they give you this full tray of whiskey, Coke, or whatever. Taking them, and my buddy Nick Bertrand was always trying to push me to, he was like peer pressure, and he was always getting you into bad shit. And he's like, oh, you got this girl coming, bro. You got to do Copenhagen. You got to do a dip. I was like, what's it going to do for me? Because I'd never chewed in my life.
Oh, wow.
And he's
okay.
like, it'll be like you taking that drink right now, but it's going to get you immediately to the buzz you want to be at. It's going to feel like you're, 10 drinks in, but you have none of the side effects. And I was like, oh, okay, perfect. And he's like, well, if you're going to do that, you might as well do a ring of fire. And I'm like, what's a ring of fire? And he's like, just put it in your bottom lip and your top lip. Fill them up. I'm like, yeah, Copenhagen.
First dip I ever
Long
took.
cut. Yeah, so that's what I had. And I was like,
Oh, the ring of fire?
okay. Yeah.
You went all in?
First time ever. And the first and only time I ever chewed real tobacco. So I put it in, and I've never chewed, so I don't know how to like keep it in there. So I go to take a sip of my
How are you
drink.
just like, ugh.
Well, I'm like 15 seconds in. He's laughing, and we go to the bathroom, and I take a drink, and I swallow all of it.
Oh.
All of it's swallowed. And he's like, where'd it go? I'm like, I swallowed it, man. Like, maybe I'll take another. He's like, bro, you need to go pull trig right now. Now he turns from, like, laughing and giving me shit to, bro, you need to go throw up. Like, it's not going to end well for you. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. Literally 5 minutes later, I can't even walk. I'm, like, upside down. Because I was drinking those 50-cent drinks, too. So I go out, and
where's the female at this point?
she's like just getting here. Now she's texting me saying like I'm here. So she's like, hey, I'm here. I can't even look at my phone. And
7-hour drive down the drain.
Yes, 7-hour drive to come hang out with me. So there's a cop outside checking fake IDs, like, because it was just a college bar, so there's always cops.
Were you 21?
I was 21,
Okay.
yeah. But I go in and I open the back door of the cop car, and I lay down in the back seat with my feet out of the car, and like I'm just trying to not spin. And the cop comes up, and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, dude, I just took this chew. I swallowed it. I never chewed. I'm like spinning. I can't even see straight. I feel like I'm going to throw up. And he's like, don't do it in my car. He's like, are you 21? I showed him my ID. He's like, you have literally 10 minutes to get your buddies, and hopefully they're not drunk and they take you out of here. Otherwise, I'm taking you to detox. So,
Oh, no. For a dip.
Yeah, for a dip.
for a dip. Like 2 drinks in. So then my buddies, Reggie, that quarterback, I'm like, bro, you gotta stop drinking. You gotta take me home. And he had like this brand new basketball shoes, and I like opened the box and puked all over him in the car. Get home, and I tell my other roommate, Corey, to get home finally. And I'm like, I'm gonna die. I'm dead. I'm gonna die. I was so sick. And then I woke up to, the next morning with like 50 texts from that girl. The last one was like, fuck you, delete my number. Never talk to her again.
Hold on. So she drove there? And
She drove there.
You never saw her?
Bro, I was in the back of the cop car. Passed out from this.
You couldn't at least send her a text, be like, can't make it.
Nope.
I'm fucked.
Never said a word to her, and never again. I think I did say, like, I'm so sorry, and I tried to explain the situation, but
Hold on. You guys never communicated after that?
never talked to her again. Ever. Yeah.
Wow. And had you, none of this would be here.
Probably,
That's what I mean.
probably
Yeah,
not.
you could have been with
Thank
her.
God for Copenhagen, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, you could think about it that way.
Unbelievable. So, how did you gravitated towards the cop car? How did that happen? You saw it was a cop
so
car?
I came out of the front door. It's like this saloon. It's like this old country bar, and they have this, like
I
little
think I
railing.
have been there.
Yeah, it's like up north, northern Fort Collins, kind of
Just out of town.
Yeah, just out of town.
No, I
yeah,
have
off the
been
highway,
there.
off I-25 in like Mulberry. And so you come out, and there was the cop car right there, and I was like, I couldn't even walk, so I grabbed the cop car, opened the door, and laid in the back. And I
Did you
was
think
just
you were
spinning.
safe at that point?
Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna lay down. I'm just gonna lay down. Like I'm
Safe zone?
21. What's the cop gonna do? He was pissed.
What's he gonna do?
He's like, you got to get out of here, man. Go sit
Yeah,
over there.
imagine if you just belched in the car.
It would have been good.
Oh no!
So-
you would have been to detox for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So he's like, you got 10 minutes. You need to call a buddy. You need to get out of here. And I called him. I'm like, I'm in the back of a cop car. I need you to come out and take me home. He's like, it's been 40 minutes. We've been here for 40. We haven't even had like 2 drinks yet. I'm like, well, luckily you haven't because you need to drive me home.
Wow.
That's
That's a great
Good
story.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's the first and only time. And then I wasn't even a chewer. And then we were smoking cigars golfing. And my buddy John, that John Dick at Siemens, was like, hey, have you had these Zins? And from Crooked to Country Club. And I was like, no. And we did them. And then I've been
A Zinner ever since.
Yeah.
So on the golf course, you throw one in?
throwing in. I go through probably a can a round.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's a can a day on a golf course. I'll definitely go through a
love
good amount. It's just nonstop, like nonstop.
In and out, in and out. You finished one on the ride home or the ride to Arizona.
What? Yeah,
Drive to Arizona,
Yeah,
right?
one
You
can.
finished the whole can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the weird thing to me is like the no spitting.
Yeah, you don't have to
Is-
spit.
Yeah, you don't have to spit. Sometimes I'll throw it in and I still want to spit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the first one of the day, I'm kind of like, okay, I'll spit a couple of them, but yeah, second one and the rest of the day, there's no spit.
No shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. And Liam just got on him. He was on 3 millies.
No, he's trying to get me addicted over here.
Gotta get on him.
Scumbag.
Is this another one of your businesses then?
I wish.
I wish. man.
Pushing it on? Yeah, no kidding, right?
Well, have you seen that guy on like TikTok and Instagram, Freezer Tarps?
No.
He's like the Zinachino guy. Maybe you've seen him, but
I'm sure you've seen some of his stuff.
he just sent us a bunch of his like caffeine pouches today. But he's all about that stuff, so we need to have him on the pod too.
Okay.
He's like super.
Caffeine patches are kind of a new thing, right?
Yeah,
They
but
come
he-
out with the
Pull one of
Zyn.
his up, Evan.
And he's like big into the Zin, and he wears
Any
our
more
stuff.
Coors Lights on
and-
deck? Oh, we do.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, look at that. Right out.
But yeah, once Evan pulls this up, we usually talk about sports at some point in the on the podcast. Did you watch UFC 298?
Yeah. Yep.
What'd you think of the Volkanovski fight?
Oh man, I tell you what. Well, we kind of touched base a bit earlier, of who's hungrier,
Yeah.
So I didn't bet on any of the fights going into the main event. They're like, this is the one other time had every single favorite won on the card.
Oh, really?
So do you realize on this previous card, 298,
Every
right?
favorite one.
Except Volkanovski.
Oh, is that who you bet on?
Yeah.
That's who you took?
He's the only
Well, I
favorite.
didn't bet on him.
win.
I bet on over 3.5 rounds, which
I thought that
looking
would be a solid bet.
yeah, I thought it was all right. I loved Volkanovski, and I was texting my buddy who's a big UFC fan. I think like watching someone you love as a UFC fighter get knocked out is probably the most depressing feeling of all time.
Yeah, well then imagine like knowing him personally.
And that I was telling people that today in the office, and they're like, "Fuck, man! Imagine being their girlfriend or their wife or their
Well,
brother."
now that when I fight, you guys are gonna feel like
I know. I don't know if I'll be able to watch.
I'll
Honestly.
tell you
No,
what, bro.
we're going to it. We're going to it.
Yeah.
That's
One of the hardest things back when my twin brother fought was watching him fight and cornering him because you have no control.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and you care so deeply for the guy, whether it's your brother, your teammate. And the reality is one guy's going to lose. 2 guys go in there, 1 guy's going to lose. So I'm not ever scared of him getting hurt. I'm scared of him feeling bad. I feel bad for him if he loses. And the hardest thing to do is to sit there and watch your close buddy, your brother fight and do something you can't control. It's like I would rather jump in there for him.
Oh, for sure. I can't imagine watching that as like a close friend or something.
Oh, dude, and I've met so many people along this journey that, like, once they meet me, they become huge fight fans. Then when I fight, they're like, man, I can hardly watch because you just have that feeling,
It's
you know?
awful. Yeah, it's awful.
Daddy's got to go put the babies to bed.
John's
That's what happens when you got two kids.
Big fan now. man.
We'll roll it.
bro. Yeah, it won't be. This first time won't be the last.
Have you played Rolling Hills, the club at Rolling
Yeah,
Hills?
yeah.
Okay. Well, John's a member here, so
Oh, no way,
there.
you're a
So
member
he'll
of Rolling Hills?
he'll take us all out
So
soon.
we know, you know, Chase Chaldikas,
Oh yeah.
which we talked about.
Yeah.
You weren't here, but
Yeah, we were talking about Chase.
Yeah.
Evan,
You knew me.
keep up the good
See you,
work.
John.
see you, brother.
Drive
So
safe.
this is Freezer Top. Pull that first video with the
Pins polo.
that's like one of our polos that we did. We got to bring him back.
Part 3.
But you've probably seen this guy.
Lob me a ball, brother. Berta, easy, boys. It's simple. You can't make this shit up, boys, all right?
He's just a degenerate. He's so funny.
Wanted in her shorts.
And this is a Pins and Aces polo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my god, that's disgusting.
Turn it up.
You probably hate this fucking shirt, buddy, because you know I'm gonna wheel your mother in it, all right? Take fucking notes, you jamokes.
So he basically just like does zins all the time and like talks shit, and he's kind of
Pull
like
up. Go to his Instagram. Pull up one today. It was so funny. I commented. He called somebody. Go back to that, Evan. Oh, you can't.
it's
it's-
this light's in the way.
Oh, it's like his he call God, what does he call? Oh, he calls the guy Ratatouille. So go to the blue sweater. Go to the right. Nope. Right there. I think it's this one. Yeah.
I'm in the club watching me like run game with bitches. Yeah. You know, dropping
Look at this clown this guy is.
Because every night I go to the club and I would just make out chicks. And back then I was just starting my YouTube career and I wasn't really doing it for content. Like I was just trying to be a fuckboy. I was just making out bitches. Right? And it was crazy because like I would go to the club and make out like 10 girls a night. Yeah. Okay, Ratatouille. Alright, buddy. Big face kill guy here. 10 birds a night for this guy. 10 kill streak. Call him the choppy gunny. Buddy, yeah, fucking right. You're fucking dust. Yo, buddy, take off the Timu Louis V tarp too. I know that thing's not real, alright? The only thing you're wheeling is fucking London Tipton at Bill Cosby Hector, alright? Hang them up, pal. I know you're not wheeling shit. No one's taking lessons from you, buddy. Nobody's watching you, Riz, buddy, because you're not wheeling shit, alright? And one more thing, buddy. You're built like the fucking Apple Jacks mascot. Hang them up.
Yeah, he's just this guy.
That
who,
guy
like,
reminds me. You guys are you fans of Bobby Fairway?
yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah. What is he on Instagram? Man, I should know this. What is
know
he?
who it is.
Gosh, Bobby Fairway. you
Yeah,
would
I know the
who he
name
is.
Bobby
That's-
Fairway. He
that's-
makes
that
funny
guy's-
videos.
So at UFC 296, my last fight, we're at the press conference. My boy Brandon Royval, who shout out to Brandon Royval, he's fighting next week in the
shit.
main event against Brandon Royval.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, Brandon Royval against Brandon Moreno.
Yeah.
And anyway, watching this press conference, I look over this guy I follow on Instagram, Bobby Fairways. He does those funny videos.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there and he's looking over me. I'm like, wait, what? So I pull up my Instagram. I'm like, oh, it is Bobby Fairways. I got a little photo of us.
That's
let me,
funny.
Let me see if I can find him. You guys have to know him.
I'm
Yeah,
sure you do. Maybe I've
yeah.
probably seen it.
You've probably seen him on there before.
Yeah.
So does that guy fight out of the same gym as you, Dustin?
Royval?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
he
My
does.
teammate is fighting for the main event this weekend against
shit.
Brandon Moreno
Wow.
Oh, fuck.
in Mexico City.
Wow. Is it UFC?
And I tell you what, that's another guy you might want to have on the podcast.
so-
He's born and raised Lakewood.
And that's for a belt, right?
No, so he fought for the belt when I fought UFC 296. He fought Pantoja.
Pantoja. Yeah.
And ended up coming up short and lost that night. And now he's got the winner of this fight will probably get another title shot.
Okay, cool. That'd be-
Yeah, 125 pounds.
Yeah, that'd be a cool.
He's not a golfer, Royval. Hey, here you go. You know this guy?
Oh yeah, Bob does sports.
Yeah, Bob does
Yeah,
sports.
yeah, yeah,
That's what
yeah.
they call
He's
him.
funny.
Bob
Yeah.
Fairway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's who that guy just reminded me
Yeah.
of.
Oh, so he was there?
He was there, and I feel fucking terrible because now this
He's
guy,
funny.
me and this guy, we're in touch on Instagram all the time, and
Yeah.
you know he likes all my shit. Now he's always looking at my stories, and that night he's like, bro. Me and Pops were putting it all on you. We're putting it all on you. And I was a big
Really?
favorite that night. So it was like minus 275. I'm like, hey, bro, easy money like a layup. You put it on me, you collect checks. I fucking lost, man. I dropped the ball big time. I hope he didn't lose too much. But yeah, it's pretty
That guy's
crazy, man.
funny.
Yeah, he's super funny.
He is.
And that's kind of what this guy is like. You know, I think he's a former hockey guy, so he just talks shit and that hockey slang that you can't
Yeah.
really understand, but it's still funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
That guy's pretty funny.
Yeah.
He is. And who was that? What was that guy again?
Freezer Tarps.
Freezer Tarps, his name is.
On IG?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to check him out.
Like
here.
Chetty or Freezer Tarp.
It's
I think.
Freezer Tarps is his name.
Yeah.
And Freezer Tarps is like a tarp is like a shirt.
Is it this guy here?
Yeah, that guy.
Okay. Boom. I'm going to follow him.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Oh yeah, this is him. Okay.
Yeah, he's so funny.
Where is he out of?
He's Minnesota is where he's from, but he
lives in New Hampshire for part of the year. Now he's kind of in Tampa. You're right. Yeah, in Tampa. So we want to go out there and visit him too. That'd be a funny video.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll tell him that you followed him.
Yeah,
he texts me all the time.
Okay, yeah, let him know, man. I'm a new fan.
Yeah, he's funny.
Follow his stuff.
He's funny.
Now, and he obviously plays too.
Yeah, he does.
So, how did the Pins and Aces? He just randomly bought a Pins and Aces shirt.
Yeah, I saw online. Someone's like, "Bro, this guy's wearing your guys' stuff. Like, how much do you pay him?" And I was like, I looked him up, and I was like, I don't know anything about this guy. I asked Nick. I was like, "Are we paying this dude?" He's like, "No." So then I DM'd him from the Pins account. I was like, "Yo, bro, like, I appreciate you wearing our stuff. Like, can we send you some more?" And he's like, yeah, for sure. Send him some more, and
super cool.
That's pretty much it. We don't pay him really anything. Yeah,
we don't pay anybody.
Yeah, he texts me all the time. He's a pretty cool guy, but yeah, he wears all of our stuff. He's hanging out with Nelk now. I don't know if you know those guys.
Oh yeah, the Nelk boys. Yeah, you see them all the time now.
Yeah.
In fact, when I've met Bobby Fairways, they were sitting right there too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, but I'm not. I don't follow them too much. Too into that and
can you pull up the Volkanovski knockout? I doubt Nick's seen that, but that was pretty crazy. But it's so depressing when you see a fighter you like.
Is this it?
Yeah, this was it. You can fast forward to probably.
Where's my mouse? You gotta go left. There you go. Yeah. Left and down.
Keep going. Yeah, that's probably about fine. We'll watch a minute of it. But Nick, this guy on the left, Volkanovski. Absolute savage. I don't know how long he's been the lightweight champion, but it's got to be at least 6 fights now, probably in a row.
Yeah, for a while, man. Yeah, for sure.
He went up and fought Islam Makhachev, who was
went down, right?
He will. I think he went up. Volkanovski went up to fight, right? Because Makhachev weighs more than he does.
Okay, yeah, you're right. He went up to 55.
Yeah, you're right. He went up to 55. Fought him. Lost a super close decision.
Yeah, it was very competitive
last year, and then this back in I think it was October, November.
Volkanovski won.
Here it is.
No, so he just got absolutely folded. But
so we just talked about this morning in practice. If you watch that clip, he missed the first 4 punches, and then that 5th punch,
just
man,
clipped
is
him.
What got him?
Yeah. So he went up a weight class and tried to fight the champion in the weight class above him because he wanted to be double champ.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he actually, so they had a close fight last year. He lost. Everyone thought it could have gone either way. And then he ended up fighting him again in October, November, and he was a late replacement. I think it was 2 weeks or 10 days before the fight. The guy that Islam Makhachev was supposed to fight backed out. So Volkanovski stepped in.
For this fight?
Back in October. And he got knocked out. I think it was the first round, but everyone, was kind of saying, yeah, he was a late replacement, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But then he took this fight to defend his own belt at his true weight class.
And
a lot of people were saying, it's too early to take a fight. You got knocked out 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he lost.
So that's another thing to take in consideration, man. When you get hit, when you get rocked, if you come back too soon, there's a good chance that you aren't fully recovered. Just like my ankle, I broke my ankle. It's got to recover. Your head's got to recover too. When you take big shots and you come back too soon, prime example, Stipe Miocic when he fought Francis Ngannou the first time. Francis hit him with some big shots, dude. Big shots. Stipe ate every one, ended up winning the decision, grinding him out. They fought 4 months later.
Yeah.
The first or second punch he caught put him out.
And that was a weird punch he caught him with, too. I think he was stepping backwards. And caught him.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
That's a big thing, too, man. When you get knocked out or you get rocked, you got to take some time to let your brain recover.
Yeah.
You start taking fights too quick, like Volk, he gets caught and he's probably how did that happen?
Yeah.
Well, you just fought, not too long ago.
What is it like when you get just kind of knocked out like that? Because Volk looked genuinely confused at what happened. I've heard fighters ask what happened, what punch caught me. Is that truly how it is?
That's actually a great question. So the only time I've been knocked out with Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
30 seconds into the fight, he caught me with the right hand that rocked me. And, a lot of times you don't see, you're just kind of sparring, you get rocked. Well, then a lot of fighters, you got to put your poker face on and fight through that, right?
Yeah.
Which I've done several times. People don't realize people get hit and they're not quite all there.
Yeah, but
even if they win, right? But you still got to be there. And
it was like that Covington fight. Colby got rocked a couple times.
Yeah,
you could tell,
and he said his leg was fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So Pereira caught me early, and I was wobbled. early in my career too, a smarter fighter would have probably like hit the pause button a little bit, recovered. Instead of me, I was like, oh, you're going to rock me. I try rocking you. So I go into a firefight with one of the best guys in the world. When he knocked me out, I was never out cold. I mean, I was done. The fight, it was knockout. And I remember my mouthpiece. I felt like I was trying to get my mouthpiece out, and I felt extremely intoxicated. That's what it feels like. You feel like you're there. In this case, I was there. Some guys are knocked out cold and they're not moving.
Yeah. In
this case, I knew what would happen. I knew everything that happened. And I was trying to get my mouthpiece out, and the ref was like trying to grab my hand, but I was trying to fight him, and I knew what was going on, but I couldn't do anything about it.
Why do you want to get it out? So you don't choke on it? Or?
In that particular instance, I have no idea. That's what I was trying to do. Like if you'll see the replay, like I was just trying to get it out, and I remember that night I was in Zagreb, Croatia, and it was March 8th, 2014. They were wanting to take me to the hospital. I'm like, I'm not going to the hospital. I know everything that's going on. I know where I'm at. I know the date. I know my name. I know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I just wasn't there. I couldn't answer the bell. And in MMA, when that happens, the ref pulls you off because you're not intelligently defending yourself. In boxing or kickboxing, you get an 8 count, which is what. So going back to, I was telling you, I think I'd be a really good boxer. My wife is totally against the boxing because in boxing, you can take big shot, you can get dropped. And as long as you answer that 8 count, you can go on.
You can be concussed and come back out and still, and then that's
and
more
get
damage.
hit
again, and there's the CTE.
And then that's where the damage comes long term, and you keep getting hit when you're already concussed.
Muhammad Ali, that's what happened to him. He got back up and got rocked, and he was done.
That's so that's an interesting point too. MMA is supposed to be a little bit safer because once you get rocked and somebody starts pouring it on you, the ref pulls it off, the fight's over. Right? And in boxing, they give you an 8 count to get back up, and now you're still concussed fighting.
That's it's interesting that you're doing like the mount because you don't know what's going on. It's like when JFK got assassinated and the bullet goes through his brain. Jackie Kennedy was like on the back of if you watch the Zapruder film, Jackie Kennedy's on the back of the car picking up the pieces of brain and trying to put it back into his head. Because she's just like, you're so shocked. You're like, what? I'm trying to put him back, what's going on? And you see her like reaching over onto the back of the car, but it's another conspiracy. That's our government killed him, so.
No doubt.
Can you pull up the Zuckerberg video? Did you see that of Mark Zuckerberg walking out with Volkanovski? They like trained together a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it's kind of
happen at 298.
Yeah, and then
he walked out with him.
Yeah, Zuckerberg walked out with Volkanovski.
No way.
And there's this funny video because Mark Zuckerberg, everyone gives him shit because he's like a reptilian weirdo. He's not a real person.
Okay, he's like an alien.
Yeah, and he's like down at the cage, and I think Volkanovski's like taking his clothes off, getting ready or whatever. And Mark Zuckerberg's standing there just like doesn't know what to do. And
he's got his lizard tongue out.
Yeah, and everyone's just like, this guy is not a real human. He looks like an absolute weirdo. Here's the video. So this is him just like standing.
I did not even catch this, that he walked out with him.
And he like doesn't know what to do with his hands. He's like acting like maybe I'll pass some shirts over.
He's just like he's wearing the what is it, Oculus?
Yeah,
it's like he's wearing that. He's like he's not even really there.
Yeah, restart it. Down.
There.
Yeah, but you can just tell like he just looks so. I think it's a different video, but he just looks like so awkward. Doesn't know what to do. Here you go. He's just like
definitely reptilian, bro.
He's just like
look what he
bobbing
does with his hands. Watch what he does with his hands.
Like he was like waiting for people to hand him stuff.
Yeah, and he's just like
it's like Zuck. You look here, dude. You don't need to do it.
Yeah. You were walking out here because of who you are. You're not handing off gear.
I did not catch that when I was watching live.
Yeah,
that's funny.
I saw him in the crowd, like in the front row, when I was watching it
with a previous fighter.
Yeah,
Darush or
whoever was fighting Henry Cejudo. Picked him up and walked him over there and was talking to Zuckerberg during the fight, and then he must have gone backstage and walked out with Volkanovski. But I saw on Twitter and stuff, people were like, yeah, this guy's not human. Just look at the way he conducts himself.
He's really not, man.
Yeah, he's pretty weird. So UFC 300, that's coming up soon.
Yeah.
Dana White announced the big fight. What did you think of that? Because, Nick, you might not know, but yeah, UFC 300, Dana White was saying it's supposed to be like the best card of all time, unreal, multiple super fights. And he announced it. Alex Pereira, who Dustin's fought before, versus Jamal Hill. Great fight, great card, but what do you think about expectation-wise?
I think it's a great fight. I tell you what, man, Jamal Hill's the first Contender Series guy that won a UFC title. And I kind of watch him like, what am I missing with this guy? Like, I feel like he's not that good.
Yeah.
But his fight with Glover Teixeira really sold me on him, man. I think he's very good. I think he's a dog. I think that he's a guy that kind of comes from nothing. He's a dangerous guy because he comes from nothing.
Yeah.
And he's got that chip on his shoulder. He's got that, like, you
Yeah.
guys don't know me, I'm going to show you who I am.
Yeah.
I think that's a great fight. I haven't seen the odds yet. I think Pereira would be slightly favored because Jamal Hill's coming off of an Achilles tendon.
Yeah, he hasn't fought in a while, right?
No, he tore his Achilles and hasn't fought in a while. So it's his first fight back. I think he's rushing it a little bit. So interesting fight. If you scroll down a little bit, scroll down on this card, you got Gaethje, you got Jerry, and then scroll down just a little bit more. One more, boom. You see Cody Brundage right there. That is a good buddy of mine, a teammate of mine.
Boy.
That's my boy. Yeah, he corners me. I corner him. He's fighting. I'm sure you guys know Bo Nichols.
He's fighting Bo Nichols.
So he's a big underdog on that?
Huge underdog because Bo Nichols like the next big great
He's like
thing,
Sean
right?
O'Malley in a sense.
Really?
He's and I tell you what, if you're
plus 750, that's
if you're gonna throw, so for one, as a sports gambler, sports bettor, if you see that spread, I'm inclined to go with Cody. And because of the odds, right? You know, you're not going to throw $50 on minus 1450.
No.
Throw $50 on 750 when you 350, $400.
Yeah.
Why not, right? And Cody Brundage, I tell you what, man, that guy, he's had like 10 UFC fights, very dangerous. He's a guy that he's still young. He's like 27, 28 years old.
Really?
He has all of the tools to beat Bo Nichols. Bo Nichols is one of the best collegiate wrestler to ever do it. One of, if not the, and has a lot of hype around him. But Cody was a collegiate wrestler as well, who has a lot of power in his hands. And my prediction right now, you guys are hearing it first, Bo Nichols sees, okay, Cody's a wrestler. I'm going to come out striking. Bo's mom, I think, was an Olympic boxer, and he's got a lot he wants to prove that he's got hands. And I think he's going to come out striking with Cody, and I think Cody's going to catch him early. And, of course, Bo's
a submission?
Well,
or in boxing, you think?
I think he catches him clips him with his hands. I think he clips him boxing, and hopefully he can finish him, man. Now, like I've told Cody, right? I totally see Cody catching him early, but he's got that dog mentality. He's one of the best wrestlers ever. He's not going to go away easy. So that it's certainly a very difficult fight for Cody, but dude, it's a win-win for Cody. I mean, he's got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Like, he's the next big thing if he goes out there and beats Bo. That's April 13th, man. I'm going to be cage side during that fight. I'm cornering. That's my boy, and I can't wait. I'm fired up. I got goosebumps.
Where is this?
Thinking
In
about
Vegas?
In Vegas at the T-Mobile.
Okay. And this is supposed to be like the biggest UFC event of all time, right? 300.
Yeah,
so
one of. I think the first fight of the card's like Bobby Green. If you keep scrolling down, I think it's Bobby Green and Jim Miller, who has been in the UFC forever and just absolute savage. I mean, from top to bottom, the card's stacked.
Evan, can you scroll?
The environment is going to be insane, dude. Like, I can't wait for that fight. It's going to be an awesome atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's another cool thing about what I do, man. Is I get to be
Diego's hair.
Yeah, Diego Lopez. That's a guy we got the same management team. We fought on the same card. We've had the same dinners and So Iridium Sports Agency, who I'm managed by, they manage over 100 guys in the UFC.
Oh shit!
Which you would think is like, holy crap, what are you doing for me? But I tell you what, you win. It takes care of everything. And I feel like with my management company, sometimes I feel like I'm the only guy they manage.
Yeah,
that's great.
Which is awesome. And when they control the whole industry,
that's
cool. So super cool. A lot of these guys, I've fought on the same card. I've, been in the same room, been acquaintances, and that environment that night. If you guys can go, that would be super dope, man.
I know.
And we could probably, and also, for my next UFC fight, I want to hook you guys up with tickets.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make that happen.
That'd be sick.
For sure.
We'll be there
man.
for sure.
You guys ever been to a UFC event?
No, but I've heard it's like the most like mind-blowing in-person sports event of all time.
Yeah, so, and everyone's different, but they're all like, Dana White said it best, man. He's like, all right, you got an NFL game right here, you got a Major League Baseball game here, you're on a corner, right? And you got an NBA game here, and you got a UFC fight here. Where do you think all those fans are going to gravitate?
Yeah.
Everybody's going to go watch a fist fight.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and he's not wrong, man. It's
No.
in our DNA.
Yeah.
You know, a fight break. I don't care. Everybody's intrigued by a fight.
For sure.
They want to see it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's cool about the sport, man. It's grown so much, evolved so much, and into what it is now. So an actual UFC event is pretty dope. I'm gonna
Yeah.
hook you guys up and get you there. in
Good.
My next fight.
That'd be
Let's do
so
it.
fun.
That'd be
Yeah,
sick.
man.
You want to drop the Easter egg?
Yeah. So it's been a great pod. We're gonna use code the Hanyak, right? So
Yeah.
search that. It's one word, the Hanyak. We're not going to tell you how to spell it. You got to go and Google search it and get a little bit more information on Dustin and what he's all about. But if you use that code, we're going to do, since he got a bag and he loves our player preferred bag, you're going to get a bag for 50% off. So we're going to limit this to the first 100 listeners. So use code the Hanyak. You're going to get 50% off your next player preferred bag. We gave one to Dustin. He loves it. He's going to be rocking it this season. So definitely use that code if you're listening, for all our closed course listeners. First 100 for that code.
All right, that's pretty good.
Pretty good deal.
man.
That's a great deal.
That's a great
Yeah.
deal.
Well-
I'm telling you, the bag's super dope too, man. So
Yeah.
I got a lot of buddies that might be lining up to get that bag.
Yeah, they'll be fighting for the code. Well, we don't have. I think the only segment we have on this podcast is fair or fraud. So usually we just pull up.
You do one?
Yeah, we did some.
Oh, good.
So we pull up, some golf etiquette, some rules, and then we talk about if that's fair or that's fraud. So
Okay.
we can kind of look
Fair
at the PowerPoint. Yeah, what's the first one? All right, walking in someone else's putting line. Is that fair or is that fraud?
Are you doing it intentionally?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it's, okay, let's say your best words, it's unintentional.
Okay. Unintentional.
I'll go. It's
Like
absolute fraud. Know your course awareness. You don't walk in front of somebody's line. My dad does it all the time to me. I'm like, my dad's a great golfer. He's won a ton of events. Good amateur player. And I'm like, what do you, get out of my line. Oh, I don't have spikes. It's not a big deal.
I don't care.
Total fraud. I hate it.
Total fraud. I'm with you. Everything you just said, I stand with you 100%.
Know the course
man.
awareness, man. Know where the lines are. It's not hard to figure out.
It's not going to make a difference for my putt, let's be honest.
It is.
So
It is.
I'm calling that one fair. Fair enough.
Okay.
Talking to someone else's ball. So this one's like, when someone hits a drive, you're like, stay out of the water, or kick right. Is that fair? I thought that was a fair thing to do. I guess
Keep your
not.
mouth off my ball.
Really?
Yeah. Fraud.
Okay. I'm kind of 50-50 on that one. I understand the fraud, but I feel like I am kind of a talker too. In a
Yeah.
sense, I kind of talk to the ball. Keep your mouth off my ball. If we go play golf and you say keep your mouth off my ball, I won't say another word about your ball.
So
But-
I have a buddy, Ryan, who his biggest pet peeve, and his dad does it to him all the time, is like, and this is similar, when someone is like making a putt, it's like a 12-footer for birdie, it looks like it's going in, and you're like, good birdie, man, before it goes in, and then it misses. That sets him, and that drives me crazy too.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone's
I'm that
you
guy.
just jinxed it. You just jinxed it. I was gonna have a birdie, but you said good birdie, and then the ball dies left, and I missed the hole. So
I mean, that one's unfortunate, but I feel like most of the time you're just trying to be a nice guy.
I think if it's just like, oh, cut, or
Yeah,
kick
yeah.
right, like that's okay, but just
It
keep your
depends
mouth
on the
off ball.
situation, but if we've got money on the line and that putt's going, I would be the guy who said, "Oh, good birdie, man." And when
Yeah.
it misses, I'm like,
Yeah, exactly. You're doing
And you're
that.
like,
Okay.
fuck, you jinxed it.
Yeah,
I'm that guy, so I call that fair.
100%.
What's the next one? All right, is a mulligan hole in one the same as a hole in one?
Total fraud.
Yeah, total fraud.
Fraud?
Total fraud.
Really?
It's a 3.
Bro, it's a
par.
3. Yeah,
It's a par.
Yeah, but
you're gonna take a mulligan on a par 3, and then you hole it.
yeah,
You're gonna call it a hole in one.
maybe not put it on the scorecard, but could you at least tell people like, hey, I've gotten a hole in one before?
couldn't
Absolutely
take it.
not. I would never. I
Really?
would if I'm with that guy, I would make sure no, it was not a hole in one. He got a par.
100%. I would say it's mulligan.
Why? Just
mulligan?
because they
There's
actually,
an asterisk by it.
because they
There's a
hit a second time, or because they know the distance in the club, or both?
That's part of it.
And for starters, the way I play golf, I don't play mulligans. You know, as a I guess on paper a single digit. Again, I identify as a 15, but on paper as a 7. I don't play with mulligans. If you just take your medicine and move on, you know.
You couldn't play with Nick then. This guy's made him.
Oh,
He's a mulligan guy.
No,
He's a
The
mulligan.
scratch golfer's a mulligan guy.
This is all cap over here. I will say I'm okay in like we're having a good time with the boys. I'm okay with a breakfast ball when we're hungover and we're warm. We haven't warmed up.
Breakfast ball's a little different.
First shot on the tee box, only time. The rest of the round, there's no mulligans. I'm not Derek. I don't play that game. But back to the mulligan hole in one thing. your second swing's always the best player. If I was second swing, you're always
my
hitting,
B
you're always
player is a
bombing it.
scratch golfer.
Scratch golfer.
Yeah, I think I would
Player's a
call this
scratch
fraud
golfer.
too.
That's
So,
fraud.
I would call
Fraud.
it fraud.
Absolute
I think we
fraud.
got the last one here. Showing up 2 minutes before a tee time. Is that
is me.
fair or is that fraud?
Well, I tell you what, as long as you're there and we're teeing off at the tee time, that's fine.
I'm with you.
You know, that's fine.
Yeah.
I stress a little bit about it as your playing partner.
Yeah.
I'm like, this fucking guy.
Yeah.
Where is this guy? But as long as they're there and it doesn't set the tee time back,
Yeah.
I guess we'll call it fair. But
It's only gonna hurt you. Like if you're 2 minutes late, you don't get any warm up. Like just don't bitch the whole round. Oh, I didn't warm up. Well, bro, you got here 2 minutes before.
for sure.
That's on you.
What about like taking another level? Like if you get invited out to someone's club, you know, for a nice round, and then you show up 2 minutes before. Is that a fraud, or is it still?
I don't think. Yeah,
Still
I
the
mean,
same.
it's funny because we've played some nice courses in Scottsdale, like Silverleaf, Estancia, DC Ranch. They're like really premium golf courses. It's crazy. You cannot get to the course before the member is there. So I've gone to those courses and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go hit some balls. And they're like, oh, is the member here yet? And I'm like, I don't know. He's got to check you in before you use our facilities, which is kind of funny. But that's happened a couple times. But no, I mean, yeah, if I'm going out to a nice club and someone invited me out there, I'm probably going to be like 20 to 30 minutes early.
Be there early.
Yeah, but
for sure.
If I'm just going with my boys, like I'll show up 5 minutes. I mean, John is like notorious.
This guy,
shoes on.
this guy's notorious
I
for
can
being
totally see that.
He had to leave early to go put his kids to bed.
literally half the time. I'm like, hey John, I'll just see you on hole 3, man. Like I'm not gonna wait. I'll see you on hole 3 or hole 4.
So that's when you seen that where you text your buddy, you're like, hey man, tee time's at 1:45, but the tee time's really at like 2:15.
Yeah.
He shows up like 1:50. He's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, hey, don't worry, man. The tee time's 2:15. We know you always do this.
I just saw that meme. They're like, yeah, we know you, bro. The tee time's not for actually 30 minutes, but you're a scumbag.
And some buddies, you got to do that, man.
Oh, yeah.
Some guys will show up at the tee time or a little bit after.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, you got to know those guys.
That is John, 100%.
100% all the time.
100%.
Yeah.
Is he playing in a cowboy hat?
He'll play in anything. We were in Mexico, and he played in flip flops. Remember that?
Yeah, flip flops.
They were golf shoes, so they had like spikes on them, or at least like
They were
ribs.
golf sandals.
Yeah, but like
Okay.
his toes were out. He was golfing in Mexico in like slides. That was golf
You're just living your best life at that point.
That's just John, I guess.
He's pretty free and easy for sure.
Yeah, he seems like that.
Yeah.
Good dude.
Yeah.
He's funny.
Quiet
for sure.
So, well, I think that's it for the pod. Dustin, thanks for coming out. We really appreciate it. Thanks for joining out here. We're looking forward to playing some golf this summer and maybe getting up to the mountains before the snow melts and hitting the slopes. So it's been fun. We really love learning about you and getting to know you. It's been awesome. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, the feeling's mutual, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on the podcast, and shout out to Robert too for setting this all up. I wouldn't know you guys if it wasn't for him.
Shout out Robert.
Yeah, shout out Robert.
And one thing Robert would like to do is we need to have a little versus game.
Yeah,
I'm
let's do
down.
it.
Yeah, have Robert and I and you guys, we go out and play.
Let's do it.
Let's get
down.
that set
We're
up,
always
man.
down.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, thanks again.
No
for coming on.
mulligans. Breakfast ball is okay. No mulligans.
that's fine.
I'll be there 2 hours early. Then. I need to warm up.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Cool. Appreciate it. See you, everybody. See you
Thanks,
next time.
guys.